Natalia Aggiano.
That's it.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's a privilege.
Yes. We've had a natter for the last half an hour.
A waffle.
We've had a waffle. Tell the people why you're here, what we're going to talk about briefly, and a bit about your point leading up to here.
We're going to talk about my life, which to some people is fascinating, to me is boring because it's my life and I've lived it, and how I've overcome so much trauma and tragedy, I guess.
You've written a book, haven't you?
I have written a book.
What's the book called?
Unconditional Love.
And what's it about?
It's about how my father murdered my mother, and then in memory of my mum, I donated a kidney to a stranger who I then found out who is not a stranger to me. I found out who it was, and I got put into the Pride of Britain Award without me knowing, and I won a Pride of Britain Award by John Bon Jovi.
Wow. How long ago was that?
2012.
So 10, 11 years ago.
And the guy's still going. Wow. He literally had a week to live. They'd arranged his funeral, everything, yeah. And then along comes this little girl.
And then you say he's not a stranger.
He was a stranger, and then I got to find out who he was.
Right.
I'll tell it in the story.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, take us back to the day it all happened.
Or before.
Or before.
So I was born in Italy. My mum's English. My dad's Italian.
Yep.
My mum and dad met in Scunthorpe. My mum was ginger hair, big glasses, a little bit overweight, we'll say. And my dad was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder. And they fell in love. And obviously for my mum, I think he was just like God's gift. However, I pulled this beautiful man. And they got married and went back to Italy and had children. We only came back to England because I have an elder sister that's 10 years older than me. I did have an elder brother 9 years older than me. And then I've got a brother 10 years below me. But my elder brother had a really bad epilepsy, and they were saying it could be the heat in Italy that's doing it. So that's why they came back to England. So I came here as a 3-4-year-old, stubborn as hell, refused to speak English because I didn't know English. I'm not English, I'm Italiano, and I won't speak it. So my mum said to my dad, you can speak to her in Italian, but she must reply back in English. And that's how I lost my Italian. And my dad spoke to me all my life in Italian, and I spoke back in English. So for outsiders, it was a very strange conversation. And I never got on with my dad. My dad was a man should go out to work, a woman stays at home. Mm-hmm. He told me all my life, I was only born to be a wife, a mother. That's it. That's my job. My dad would say, make me a coffee. And I'd say, no, you've got legs, do it yourself. And I'd get a beating. Never ever cried in front of my dad. Be sent to my room and be like, well, I never had to make him a coffee, but my elder sister did it all to keep the peace. I didn't know that. And I didn't know till after writing my book that my dad used to say to my mum, she's the devil child, she's from you. It's your fault she's like this. I didn't know all that. If I knew that, I wouldn't have been probably as naughty as I was. I got put on the at-risk register. I remember the first time I was at primary school and they were talking about parents hitting you, and I said, oh, well, my mum hit me with a wooden spoon because I tried to put my hand in the fire. So we had social services round, but actually it was my dad hitting me, not my mum. But my mum used to say to me, you can't tell them what really happens because they'll take you and your younger brother away and you'll be split up and you'll end up in an orphanage like Annie. And I remember we had to go as a family see a psychiatrist, and I used to say to them, so if I tell you what happens, you'll take my dad away? And they'll be like, no, we'll take you away. And I was like, well, it never happened to me, because I was like, all I want is you to take my dad away. I don't want to lose my family. I want my dad gone. Mm-hmm. And I used to beg my mum to leave him all the time. Just leave him. He never physically hurt my mum, but he was controlling. She didn't have no male friends. My dad was his own religion, and he tried to join religions, and then there was something he didn't agree with, and he came out. And where he's like one of 14. He's the youngest boy, but his dad died when he was 14, so he became the father. So he's always done the work, and his mum looked after everyone, and all he had in the village, in the town in Italy, is church. That's all they had. That's why he was religious. So my parents ended up becoming Jehovah's Witnesses. Apparently there is pictures of us having Christmases, but that was in Italy. I don't remember that. So all my life I was brought up a Jehovah's Witness. So even now I don't really do birthdays and Christmas, because if you've never had something, you don't miss it. But I used to beg her, leave him, please leave him. And she'd say, when you're 18, I'll leave you. I then found out afterwards that my younger brother was born because my dad put a hole in a condom to get her pregnant, because my dad had pulled his back and she was training to be a nurse, and she'd just about finished and she was going to become a nurse and she'd be out working and he didn't want to work in. So that's how my little brother was born. So when he was born, it was like, when your brother turns 18, then I'll leave him. And my teenage years, I was horrible to her. I used to say, if you love me, you'd leave him. Like, why are you staying with him? Like, the whole problem is him. They did split up at one point. When his mum died, he went back to Italy, and he sent a video recording of him saying that, if you don't let me return, I'll kill myself, and then you will have killed the children's dad. So my mum was like, I can't have that on my head. So she let him back. All my life, all I knew was there was a motorway out of Scunthorpe, and that's where I was heading. Every time I was in trouble, my sister would grasp me up and say, she swore, get me in trouble. My little brother wouldn't. My little brother would take some of the punishments because he knew he wouldn't get a beating because he's a boy. And then he'd come to my room and he'd say, when I'm 18, or when we're old enough, we'll run away together, we'll run away. And I'd be like, okay. And then when I was 17, I left home. I met a boy who was at uni at Nottingham, and he had a work placement, so I left with him, straight away gone. But I went to the police at first because I was only 17 and said to the police, I want to leave, what can my dad do? Can he do anything? And they said, have you got a job? I said, I've got a job lined up. I was working for McDonald's then, so I just transferred. They said, is you got a roof over your head? Yep, you can't do anything. And so I went home, and my mum and dad had no idea. I said, I'm leaving at the weekend, and Dad, if my boyfriend don't hear from me in an hour, he's calling the police, because the police told me you can't do anything. And he was like, well, if you're going to go, you're going to go. And as soon as I left, that's when I missed my mum like mad. Every day I'd call her 5-6 times a day. She's like, stop calling me. What are you calling me for? I didn't realise how much I missed my mum until I left home. And then I ended up in Leicester in a homeless hostel because I refused to go home. My dad had put so much warped stuff in my head because he used to say to me, if you're showing skin, you're asking for trouble. My first boyfriend, I worked at McDonald's, and a guy there invited me to a work stew, but there was nobody there. It was just me and him. And so I was like, what? And on the way home, he put me against a wall and kissed me, and that's it. I thought I cheated and I had to leave my partner. Even though I explained everything that happened to him, I was like, no, I'm a cheater, because my dad had told me that. And then when I was at the homeless hostel, I got gang raped, and I got into smoking weed then. I couldn't roll weed, so the girls at the hostel would fill loads of tins up and fill it up for me so I could smoke them. And I remember ringing home, my mum begging me to come home. And I said, put Dad on the phone. And I said to him, if you promise me you'll never hit me again, I'll come home. Because my dad, if he says something, he means it. If he says no, it's no. If he says yes, it's yes. My mum, if he says no, you might get a yes if you can sort of persuade her. I said, if you touch me ever again, you'll never see me again. And Mum will never see me. I will literally disappear off the face of the earth. And he never hit me again. Kept to his promise, and I went home. And then my mum told me she wanted to leave my dad. And I just said, go, great, what do you want to do? So he went to work 2 till 4, came home, and my mum and my 9-year-old brother gone. And we'd got rid of her. He didn't have a clue where he was. We used to tell her, because my little brother was an ice skater. My sister used to be a skater, so she got him into skating. I told him she was in Hull, and he'd go to Hull to the ice rink looking for him. She was in Grimsby. And then there were luxury apartments there. So I moved in with my mum for a week, and then a week later I got an apartment 2 floors below. But to get into the building, I had an intercom system, so I never locked my door. So my mum used to just rattle my doorbell and come in. And every time I had a bath, she'd sit on the toilet with the seat down, and we'd have like girly chats. We'd go for walks. And I got to see for a whole month a woman I'd never seen before. She'd say to me, like, because I smoked, she's like, have you got cigarettes? She's like, yeah, light a cigarette. She said, I knew you wanted a cigarette. You just have a cigarette. She's like, it's cool as long as you don't smoke in my house. Or a guy walked past once and she went, whoa, what he does for me in a pair of tight jeans. And I was like, what? Like, this is my mum who's never like spoke about anything like that. Like, my mum and dad told me that they were the first people that had a relationship with, they'd never had sex with anyone else, and you don't leave home till you're married, you don't have sex till you're married. Like, and then my mum's talking like this. I was like, whoa. And we got really super close. And I remember before I got my apartment, we were on like camping beds in the bedroom while she was waiting for furniture, and my mum wore glasses, and it was the first time I'd seen her sleeping without glasses. And I looked at her and thought, oh, that's what you look like if you died. Because when I was 9, my mum's dad died, and my dad picked me up from school and took me to a funeral parlour to see my granddad dead in a coffin. No idea why he would do that. So I'd already seen what a dead body looked like. They just look asleep. So I remember that. And then I remember one day I was getting ready to go out clubbing, and my mum came in. She sat in the bathroom, was talking, and She said, I said, don't you hate Dad? I said, I absolutely hate him. She's like, Natalie, he's your dad. She said, it's just like you. I love you. You could go out and do the worst crimes in the world. I won't agree with what you've done or justify it, but I still love you. I'd still be there. You're my daughter. She said, you've got to stop hating him and just, he's your dad, and just love him for who he is, and that's it. And then she said to me, I'm going to see your dad tomorrow. And I was like, well, what do you mean you're going to go see him? She said, he wants to see my younger brother and he's got some posts for me. And then she just said, I'm scared he's going to kill me. And I was in the bath like the water's gone cold. And I'm like, you're serious? You think he's going to kill you? She said, yeah. I said, but he's never done anything to you. He's done it to me, not you. I said, tell you what, come and get me in the morning. I'll come with you. I said, he won't touch you. He's not going to touch you if I'm there. There's no way in hell. You come and get me in the morning and I'll make sure you're okay. She said, yeah, no problem. So just before I left, I went up to her and she had some friends around and I was like teasing her going, love you, mum, love you, mum. And I'm like leaving. I'm like, love you. And she's like, I love you too, just go. And I'm like, love you, mum. And I was like really embarrassing her. And then I woke up the next morning. Well, what I heard afterwards was my little brother, she sent my little brother to come and get me and I was asleep on the sofa. And he went back and said, oh, she's sleeping on the sofa. And Mum went, oh, we'll be fine. We'll leave her. Just leave her. We'll be fine. So I woke up to the intercom going to the police. Now, at that time, we smoked weed. So I'm piling up all the weed and going up to my mum's flat because I knew she wasn't there, sitting outside with all this weed going, oh, my God, I'm getting arrested for drugs. I got arrested for drugs. And I left it for about 30 minutes, came back down. I was like, what is it? And my flatmate said, it's something to do with your mum. I was like, she's gone to see my dad. They obviously didn't wake me up. So we went, at that time I didn't have a phone. We went to the phone box. I rang my dad's house, no answer. I rang my grandma, no answer. I rang my sister, no answer. I rang her work and they said, oh, she's had to leave for an emergency. And I just turned to my flatmate and said, he's killed her, he's stabbed her. We don't have knives, he's done it. And my flatmate was like, nah, it's probably not that. She's probably had an accident or something. So then I call the police and they say, right, we're coming round to see you. And I just knew, I just said, he stabbed her and he's killed her. And they were like, yeah. And then I was in Grimsby, my mum's in Scunthorpe, and I'm like, just get me there. I didn't drive at that time. And they're like, oh, we can't go till you interview you. I was like, I don't want to be interviewed, I just want to go. And they would not let me go till they interviewed me. So they interviewed me, took me to Scunthorpe police station, and all I saw was a 9-year-old brother, all excited that he'd been in a police car and pressed the buttons and stuff. And I'm like, does he know? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what? And I've always been the black sheep, but I've always been close to my mum, especially when I left. My dad hated him to a passion. I remember as a teenager being over him with a knife, wanting to kill him. That's how much I hated him. And I go into the room and there's all my sister, my elder brother, my younger brother, my grandma. Now, my elder brother when he had epilepsy, had like a mental age of like a 14-year-old. So he wasn't always that with it. And I remember my sister saying, right, to my brothers, you're going to come and live with me. And I'm just sat there waiting for her to say, are you going to come with me? And I'm like, okay, I'm on my own, I'm 19. And then this sergeant, I said, where's my dad? Because I thought I need to speak to him because police lie. I know police lie. Like, I need to know what's happened. Was it an accident and you're trying to twist it and it's my dad? Because my dad's never hurt my mum in his life, physically. This sergeant goes off on one. There's press outside. You can't talk to him. You can't do. And at 19, I was like, don't you fucking tell me what I can do. I demand to see my dad. My whole family's looking at me like, what the hell? I'm like, I demand to see him. And then this PC guy pulls me aside and said, look, you can't talk to him. He's being interviewed. He's got forensic. But write a note. And where will you be tomorrow? I'll come and pick you up and I'll bring you to your dad. So I wrote this note and I thought, he's not going to see me because he knows I hate him. I used to laugh at him all the time when my mum left him and he's begging me. I'm like, it's your fault. So I wrote this note just saying, Dad, I'm trying to come and see you. They won't let me see you. I don't care what you've done. I want to see you. Like, I'm not mad with you. Love your daughter. I didn't put my name. So he's thinking that's my elder daughter because she's Miss Goody in his eyes. She does what she's told. And the next day, the police come and get me. And he's behind Perspex screen with carrier bag material. Forensic, when you see them all in that white paper bag.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm like looking at him like, what? And he's bawling his eyes out.
Is this just in the police station?
In the police station. And he's crying. My dad does hardly ever cry. Like, he's man up, you don't cry. And he's crying his eyes out and he's like, forgive me. And I'm like, right, Dad, I need you to tell me exactly what happened, no matter how bad or gruesome it is. And if I find out you lie, you'll never see me again. I said, just tell me the truth and I promise I'll come and see you. I never mentioned forgiveness. I never mentioned that. I just wanted to know what happened. I said, I promise you I will still visit you. And then he starts going on about, I had a vision from God that told me that because in my dad's eye, when you're married, you can only divorce if the husband beats you up, rapes you, or so. You can't just fall out of love because you've made a vow to God. So then God will punish you in the afterlife. So he's telling me that God had a vision and said he had to ask my mum if she would come back to him. If not, she would have to take a punishment. And the punishment would be that God would, my dad had to save a body, he had to kill a body to save a soul so that she'd go wherever you go, where you die, and she'd be okay. So my dad told my mum, if you don't come back to me, you'll be punished. And she said, I'll take the punishment, thinking he meant God's going to punish you when you die, like in your afterlife. So on that day, what he did is he sent my older brother to go get fish and chips, because my older brother he wasn't in the mental capacity to think, I shouldn't leave my mum. Yeah. My little brother was out with his friends. He's gone to see his friends. Locked the back door. When she said, I'll take my punishment, he went into the kitchen. He got the biggest kitchen knife, tried to stab her in the back, but it just flimsed, he said. So he had to go back in. So at that point, my mum knows what he's doing. Got a little knife, and he said once he started, he couldn't stop. And then he laid her in his arms while she was dying, and he was caressing her, which is what he used to do, just stroke her face. And I said, what was her last words? And he said her last words were, everyone will know you're a murderer now. And even to this day, I don't think that'd be my last word, especially when you've got a 9-year-old son. You'd be like, tell my 9-year-old son, but that was her final words. And then he calls the police and says, you need to come and hear, I've killed my wife and my children are on the way home. I don't want them to see this. Rings my sister at work and says, I've killed your mum. You need to come and get your brothers. And then phones work and says, I won't be, because this was on a Saturday, I won't be in work on Monday. I've killed my wife. And that was my mum's end of life. So when my dad told me what he had, it turned out he had schizophrenia, which was easy for me to deal with what had happened because there was a reason why he wasn't just a cold stone murderer. So he was on remand in prison for a year. And I used to see people in the town saying, I was in prison with your dad at the weekend. He reads, helps people read and stuff. He's such a top guy. And I'd be telling my dad and be like, don't hang around with him. He's really bad. Or don't do this. And then he got sentenced. He got done for diminish of responsibility. So you don't get done for murder. So he went to Rampton Psychiatric Hospital. The minute he got there, he would say to me, tell me how to kill myself. Get me out of here. I want to go back to prison. And I used to say to him all the time, stop talking about religion. You'll go to a mental hospital. No, God will punish me if I don't tell the truth. I was like, stop talking about religion. They're going to send you away into a loony bin, and I'm telling you, it's not as good as prison. And when he got there, they just drugged him up. And I remember I got kicked out there so many times. I remember going in one day, and I was like, Dad, I'm a druggie. And he was like, I said, Dad, I'm a prostitute. And he's like, And I just kicked off. I said, what the hell are you giving this? I couldn't say that to my dad. I used to say to my dad, what would you do if I'm a druggie? I'd lock you up in the bedroom till you wasn't. What would you do if I was raped? I'd find the person that raped you and I'd kill him. I was like, this isn't my dad. And every time he tried to speak in Italian to me, they would go absolutely mad because they'd be sitting listening to your conversation. And I was like, this is how we speak. I was like, you can tell what the conversation's about from my response back to him. But in Italian, he was always saying, get me out of here, get me out of here. They drug me up, I can't. My dad used to be able to read a Bible and tell you on any book, chapter, line. He had a photogenic memory. He could tell you stuff. He said, I read something and I don't understand it. I read the same line and I don't get it. And then trying to explain to him what the internet was. It's like Google. Well, who's at the end of it? Who's telling you the answer? I don't know. It's just in the airways. It's just a computer. No, how does it know the answer? And trying to explain to him how the internet is working, and you can ask it any question and it knows the answer, and he couldn't figure that out in his head. And I didn't forgive him straight away. You have to remember, it was 1997. There was no internet at that time. I was 19 years old, which at that age I was probably still 13, 14 in my head because I hadn't really experienced that much of life. And what do you do? There's no internet to go, right, is there somebody else I can speak to? How do you deal with this? And I always remember the last thing my mum kept saying to him, no matter what, you got to love someone for who they are, not for what they do. And she knew what he was going to do. And I always think, if I came here, you're going to harm me, and I've got kids, why would you even put yourself in that situation? Unless you really didn't think he was going to do it. I don't know. But my mum was really kind and always forgiving and always looked for the positive, even when she was in bad situations with my dad. And I remember, when I was a kid, she asked me one day, why do you think people's skin colour are darker and lighter? And I said to her, because, look at Dad. In the summer, his skin's darker. In the winter, it's whiter. So these people come from countries where it's really, really hot, and that's why they get the tan all year round. And my mum was like, yep, you keep believing. That's what she was like. And I knew my mum didn't have any hatred in me, and she wouldn't want me to do that. Yet the whole town of Scunthorpe used to spit in my face, tell me my mum would turn in my grave. I ended up living at the house that my dad killed my mum because I couldn't live where I was before. And because he didn't get done for murder, the mortgage was paid. And the neighbours would ring my sister saying I'd painted red paint on the wall and charging people attended to come and look at my mum's blood. Like the stuff, I got men coming in and out of my house. They're all gay. Even now I have more gay friends than straight friends that are male. And they would just say stuff and I think my mum wouldn't do that. And I mean, even when I used to go visit my dad, there were times I'd write to him and I'd swear at him, tell him I hated him in all the world, like he ruined my life. It wasn't like it was all, I forgave him and it was lovey-dovey. But my dad kept my mum alive. My sister and everybody else turned their back on me. Even now, if you mention anything with my sister, she'll tell you a story, but she cuts it off. She doesn't, like, my brother will go, oh, tell me stories I'm forgetting, or you can't, I didn't have anyone to talk to. My dad told me stories about my mum I didn't even know about. And he kept my mum alive because he talked about my mum all the time and told me stuff I didn't even know. Stuff I didn't need to know, like he told me my mum was raped when she was younger. I didn't need to know that stuff, but he knew my sister knew, and he knew that if I found out, she would go mad. And then when he got cancer and he was dying, he told me, this is my punishment. Once he found out he had schizophrenia, he was like, if I knew, I would have gone and got help. And my mum did go to the doctor once and said, I think there's something wrong with him mentally. And they said, he has to come and tell us that. And she said, he's not going to do that. She was going to like relate behind his back before she left him. She used to get me to call up and pretend I was meeting her for lunch. She did have a job at one point where my dad's back had gone and he used to cycle her on a walk. So she would walk to work and he would cycle behind her, go when it was a lunch break, go and check what she was doing on a lunch break. Like, it was all to do with his schizophrenia. And I think if he didn't have schizophrenia and that copper hadn't have said what he said, would I have forgiven him? Probably not. I don't know. But yeah, so at 19, I did not know how to deal with it. And I got into drugs. The only way I could cope. For years, I was always against like hard drugs. And I was out with my friends who they all took. At that time, it was ecstasy pills. And they were so cheap, like that and a bottle of water, and that's your night done. And I remember seeing my friends and saying, whatever you're taking, I want to take that. Because you look happy as hell and I'm miserable as shit. And I don't drink. So by midnight, I'm ready to go home. And you lot aren't coming home till midday. Like, I want whatever you've got. And when I used to take a pill, you could have told me anything bad and I wouldn't have just laughed it off. Because for that time that you was on that high, everybody's beautiful, the world is peaceful, and the life is great. And then you have to come down. And it took a few years till the come down was too much. And I rang my sister and said, I'm a druggie, you need to come and get me. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to get away. I've got to be away from people that take drugs. Changed my number, got away from the druggie people. And that was it. But I used to take... So I would only have cocaine if my friends had it. I'd never bought that because it was way too expensive for me. But I used to do temping Monday to Friday just to go out on a Friday, come back on a Saturday, go out Saturday and sleep the whole of Sunday and start again. But the drugs is the only thing that got me through, because how do you, like, I didn't know how to deal with it. There was nobody to talk to. Like I said, I tried to go to a psychiatrist and they were just were like, do you like to be dominated in bed? I was like, what's that got to do with the murder of my mum? I'm trying to process it and I can't. But my dad healed me because he kept my mum alive. So when he died, it was really, really hard because now I don't have stories of my mum. And obviously you forget stuff, so I forget stuff he's told me. I have no pictures of my mum. I've got one picture of my mum and dad. I've got no pictures of me and my mum. I've got no belongings from my mum because my sister became the next of kin. And it's weird because I don't know if I believe in ghosts and things, but I remember one day I said to my flatmate, oh my God, I feel like my mum's house is being burgled. Something's telling me it's weird. He's like, what, you're weird? And I went up and I looked through the letterbox and all my mum's stuff had been packed. And I'd said to my sister, can I please go into the flat before you go just so I can see what was the last thing she ate, what was the last thing on her stereo? And she was like, yeah, but her husband had come and emptied everything out. And as I was there, he pulled up. He came through the corridor. And I said, what are you doing? I want to see what my stuff are. And he was like, no, you can't have anything. So I called my sister. She's like, get what you can. And all I got was some knitting needles. That's all I managed to get out of the car. And he said to me, you'll never see your brother again. And I was like, what? And so he used to tell my younger brother that I'd called up and said I was coming around to see him, and I wasn't, and I hadn't. If I was in the street, they would pull my brother away. So my brother used to come and sneak to my house, which is the house that his mum got murdered in, just so he could see me. because I wasn't allowed to see him. And my sister would go mad, but I was like, well, I can't, what am I supposed to do when he gets here? Call you and get him into trouble? I'm not going to do that. Like, he's a 9-year-old kid. He's like, at 9, he was a lot more mature than I was at 19. But yeah, so I felt really, really lost and got into drugs. And I think it took me till about 2002 to get off the drugs properly. And then when my dad got cancer, he said, don't grieve for me, this is my punishment. And he died in 2006. And before he died, he said to me, stop, because I was just temping, I just did office work. Stop doing that, do something. You're more clever than you think you are, get a career. And at school I failed because I've got ADHD, I didn't realise that. And I was like, I can't do anything. Like, what am I going to do? I've got no qualifications and I can't go get qualifications because I can't study. I'm not clever. I ain't got a good memory, so how am I going to memorise? That's what studying it really is. And so when my dad died, I was temping and I was on the internet and I was like, I'd love to be an air hostess, travel the world. So I typed it in and it was like, you've got to be 5'2" and be able to reach the top. And I was like, I'm 5'2", but I'm not sure if I can reach the top. But it came up security for Heathrow Airport. And I was like, well, just apply, see what happens. What's the worst that'll happen? And that's my saying all the time. What's the worst that'll happen? Are you going to die? No, then just do it. If it says no, it's no. And they sent me this pack that was like pages and pages and pages long that I had to fill in. And I said to my friend, I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm going to get this. And she was ironing her kids' stuff. She was like, just fill it in while we watch Coronation Street and then just fill it in. Like, don't send it if you don't want to send it. So I filled it in, left it on the side, and she posted it. And the next thing I knew is I had this interview. So it was an all-day assessment interview. And my brother was in Nottingham at the time and I had to drive him to Luton Airport. So I had to drive from Heathrow up to Nottingham, get him, take him to Luton Airport because he was an ice skater and had a competition. So I'd had no sleep and this interview was started at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I said to him, I'm not going to go. Like, I've had no sleep. How am I going to do a whole day assessment? And so I dropped him off and up the motorway on the junction at the last minute. I just swerved in and went for it. Luckily, they had a Costa coffee, so I was just fueled on coffee. And at every stage, people were knocked out. And there were hundreds of us there and only 5 at the end of us got through. And I was like, whoa. So it was like most proudest thing I ever did. But then you still had 2 weeks training and if you failed, you were out. So my friend was teaching me to just do lines and lines because I was like, I'm never going to remember this. Like, what's the Aviation Act of 19 something? I'll never remember it. She was like, you just got to remember it for the test. So we were just going through it over and over and I managed to get through and I was really proud that I had this job at Heathrow. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, everyone thinks I've forgotten about my mum. And what people don't know is I'm the only one that goes to my mum's grave. I'm the only one that goes there. No one ever goes there apart from me. And I was like, my mum was my best friend. And I don't want people to think that I forgave my dad and forgot about my mum. Now, when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember it, there was a TV show called Jimmy's about Leeds Hospital.
Yes.
So my mum used to love anything to do with real operations. And we used to sit and watch it, all the glory. Yeah. And one time they were doing about donation. And she explained, and I said, what's that? She said, explain that when you die, you're just asleep and you never wake up. She said, she believed you didn't go anywhere. She said, but you've got organs that other people need. So you should always be an organ donor. And I was like, great. And so she went and got me my first donor card and we filled it in. And I was like, oh, even my eyes, Mum. Someone's going to walk around with my eyes. She was like, even your eyes, darling. You're going to give it to someone that needs it. So when I was doing my book, so the publishers came to me at Heathrow because I had a co-writer because I was like, there's no way I can write a book. You've got 6 months. I work shift work. There's no way. I was like, can I have a co-writer? Like, yep. So I got a co-writer and she found out that the way my mum had died, I didn't realise you have to still be technically alive. So you're on a ventilator. If you're utterly dead, you can't donate because your body's shut down.
Yes.
So my mum couldn't donate. So I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, so my mum's organs didn't go anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, that's so bad. She would hate that. Then I watched this film called Pay It Forward.
Yes.
Yes. And I was like, right, I want 3 Pay It Forwards. I want 1 massive one and 2 little ones. What can I do? Didn't think anything of it. Then I was at Heathrow at work and this guy was like, oh, I've just come back from my kidney, because he had problems with his kidneys. Kidney appointment. You never guess what? This person's just donated to a real person while they're alive, a family member. I said, what, you can give your organs away while you're alive? They're like, yeah. I was like, what? And then I was like, pay it forward. So I was like, how do you do that? Googling, couldn't find anything. Ringing all the hospitals in London. I heard you can donate a kidney. Can you help me? No. And then I get through to this department. Yeah, we do that. And I was like, really? You can do it while you're alive? Yeah, she said, I'll send you a pack. Read that. If you're interested, get us back to us. No problem. Gets this pack, reading it all. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it in memory of my mum. But I want to know first, genetically, am I my mum or my dad? Because if I'm my dad, I'm not doing it. So I went to the hospital and I said, They said, well, you can say no at any point till you put to sleep and you don't have to give a reason. I said, great. I said, first thing I want you to tell me, can you tell me genetically my blood and stuff? Am I more Italian or have I got more English in me? Oh, yeah, we can tell you that. I said, I don't want to tell you why. No problem. So they did the test. They said, you've got more English than you have Italian. Great, go ahead. You have to go see a psychiatrist, make sure nobody's like giving you money for doing it or pushing you to do it, because you're not allowed to take payment. And I said, right, okay, when you find the person, I just want to know why they needed it. And that is when it's been taken, that it's survived, because some people's body rejects it.
Yeah.
After that, I don't want to know anymore. That's it. It's out in the world. My mum gets to live on in somebody else, and that's it. So we did. They took my blood test. They said, we found a match on the top. Can you come in? We have to get his blood, your blood cells, and mix it together, make sure you're a perfect match. No problem. They said, you're such a perfect match, you could be related. And I'm like, what? Maybe I've got a brother or sister I didn't know about. Great. They said at that time he was 10 years older than me, so he was in his 40s. He'd got an acute illness and none of his families were a match to him. They'd all tried. One of his brother was a match, but when they went to match him, they found out he had a heart condition and luckily saved his life through that way and couldn't match. Great, do it. Don't want to know any more about it. No problem. Go to the hospital the night before. You go and you stay in and everybody's intrigued in there. Why are you in here? You look healthy. And I'm like, oh, I'm giving a kidney to a stranger. I was like so excited about it, not thinking about the pain afterwards. And my sister texts me and says, so what happens if you brain damage? I said, of all the side effects that's on the list, I didn't see anything about brain damage. She won't answer her phone. I say to my brother, what's going on? Why does she think I'm getting brain damage? I said, that's not any of the symptoms that can go wrong. She's like, oh, she's just concerned if something goes wrong with you, she should have to look after you. I said, for once in my life, I've sorted my stuff out. I've got a power of attorney and I've got a will, and my sister is not my next of kin. She's my sister. She's not my mum. She's not responsible for me. And it says in my will, you put me in a home. You don't put nobody's to look after me. That's the thing. No, but by law, she's saying she's next of kin. I said, she's not my next of kin. I said, I've made sure I've put things in place. But brain damage is not one of the symptoms, so tell her I'll be all right. So I have the surgery, I wake up, didn't realise the pain. Pressing you get a morphine button, pressing the button, it works. I'm like, great. All of a sudden this button stops working. And I'm calling the nurses, I'm screaming at them, I'm like, I'm in pain, this button's not working. No, it is, we can tell. I was like, it's not working. This nurse comes, says, you've got to get up. I'm like, I can't move. She gets me up, takes my catheter out. That's it then. Can't pee. So I'm pressing the button to pee. By the time the nurse gets to me, I've pissed myself. Like, they were like leaving me in so much pain. My sister's ringing up and they're saying, yeah, she's fine. My coordinator's coming to check. Yeah, she's all right. There's nothing wrong with her. She's fine. And I was in Hammersmith Hospital, which is next to Wardwood Scrubs, the prison. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's hardly any signal. And all of a sudden I get one bar and I have a woman that I call my mum. She's not old enough to be my mum. She's only in her 50s. No, she's 60. No, she's not quite old enough to be my mum. And I text her and I just put help. So she comes to find me, finds me on bed, I'm crying. I'm like, they've left me in my own piss and I can't leave till you've had bowel movement. And they keep giving me tramadol and it stops your bowel movement and I just want to get out of here. So she picks me up. She goes mad at the nurses, puts me in the shower, washes me like I'm a daughter, like gets me naked, washes me, cleans my bed, says, come on, we've got to start moving and walking. She said, we're going to walk to a shop, get you some All Bran. That will make your bowel moves. And she comes and does that. And she said, I'll make sure I come every day and make sure you're all right. And luckily, the next day she managed to get my bowels moving and I got out. And then we did make a complaint and now they have patches. So I don't want to put anyone off. You don't get what I get treated. And it was because they'd put me in the wrong ward, apparently. That's what they said. And that was it. My mum was out to live in the world. And then all of a sudden, you're allowed to write to each other, but you're not allowed to say anything about yourself. But what happens is it goes to... So if he writes to me, it goes to his coordinator, they check it, then it goes to my coordinator, they check it, and then it gets to me. And all of a sudden I got these two letters, one from his mum and one from him. So his was a typical mail, like thanking me, telling me that he hadn't peed in so many years, he woke up, he could pee, he doesn't understand why I did it, but thank you very much, I can now go on holiday. Like I was literally like, thank you very much, but it was like that. His mum's letter had a hole in it where she tried to tell me what hospital it was and they'd cut it out. And her letter, I never thought of it from a mother's perspective. She was like, I don't know why you would do this. I prayed to God for an angel and you sent me you. I'd love to know why you would do this. You don't even know us. Like, we'd arranged his funeral. He was dying and we'd just had a last Christmas because this was in the February. We'd had our last Christmas. We knew it was the last one. I don't understand why you'd save my son. Like, and I was like, I didn't pick your son. He was whoever was the match. So I said, right, I'll write back and then that's it. So I wrote a letter, explained my pay it forward. I said, I'd love it if you could do a pay it forward. If you don't, it's up to you. And I explained that I was doing it in memory of my mum. And that was it. In the hospital, I heard nurses talking, saying, oh my God, have you heard what she's done? Because I was only the 50th person at that time who'd done it in England. I can't believe it. She was like, yeah, the recipient lives 2 hours away. So that's all I knew is he lived 2 hours away. And then the card she sent me told me like that he was in the Sussex area, because obviously it was a charity stamp on the back.
Yeah.
It was a card that you get in a charity shop, like a charity thing. So it told me where it was that. And I didn't think anything of it. Then I was at work. We used to park and then get a shuttle into the airport. Yeah. And I was reading the Sky News, and it came up about a charity that started called Give a Kidney, to promote people to give kidneys to people while you're alive. And I was like, oh, I've done that. So I went on their website, and there was 3 stories: one who had received, one who had give, and one that was waiting. Now, the one who had received, in his story, was everything his mum had put in my letter. But at the end of it, it said, we think she's died because we never heard from her. And I thought, oh my God, his mum thinks I'm dead. She thinks I killed myself trying to save her son. So I got onto the internet straight away, because there it told me his name, told me what he's done. So I'm on the internet and I find his company website. He was an accountant, but it says under construction, please email, and it had his private email. So I emailed him and said, are you the Chris that's in the news today with your kidney? Sorry to bother you. And he's right back, and he said, as soon as he knew my name, he knew it was me because they told him that I was Italian. And he said, yes, I am. Can I ask why? I said, I think you've got my kidney, and I think your mum thinks I'm dead. I'm not dead, I'm alive. Please let your mum know I'm not dead, I'm alive. So we worked out everything, and it worked out it was right. Now, you're not allowed in England to meet for 2 years, because what was happening in America was, if I gave me a kidney, I was going, I want a new car. I've just saved your life. I want this, I want that. So in England, they make you wait 2 years before you're allowed to know who it is, if you want to know. Wow. And you both have to agree. So we'd broken the rules. So when I'd gone back to my hospital and gone, well, is that him? And they were like, how did you find each other? I was like, well, you put him in the press. Like, it was your fault. I didn't go searching for him. I was like, and my letter obviously never got to him. They think I'm dead. So he's like, my mum really wants to meet you. Will you meet her? And I was like, I really don't want to. I just want to know that you're okay and everything's good. And I was like, but then if your mum, it's her son. So I said, I'll come once, and then that's it. And she was just in floods of tears, like she couldn't understand. She's beautiful. We was up all night drinking wine. I'm more closer to her than I am with him. And so he started messaging me, like telling me things he was doing, like I'm going on holiday, I'm getting married, I'm doing this. So it's like my mum lives on. And his mum told me like how bad it was of his son. And he got it because he was in a hotel in Europe and he got Legionnaire's disease.
Wow.
And a family tried to get it and they weren't a match. And they'd been on the waiting list. And what I didn't know happened as well was he'd been called in hospital twice. So if somebody dies, 3 people get that kidney because you're on a waiting list in case you get fever. So 3 times he'd gone to the hospital and he'd not got it. So when they got the call to say that a living donor was there, and obviously it lives longer, your kidney, if you've got it from a live person than a dead person. So then there was the newspaper that put him in the press. Asked him if we would do a story. And I said, well, if you want to do a story, that's like, great, we'll do a story, no problem. Now, she went and did the story with the Daily Mirror about how we'd met and how I was doing it in memory of my mum. She put me in the Pride of Britain Awards. I didn't know. Well, there was a bus going around and you had to vote people online and stuff, and she put the story in there. And so 20,000 people voted for me that I didn't even know I was in this Pride of Britain Award. How I never came across it on the internet or anything, I didn't know. And I got a phone call saying, hi, this is a Pride of Britain, you've won. And I was like, yeah, fuck off, who's winding me up? And hung up. I said, I'm not in no Pride of Britain Award, and I hung up. And I was like, who the hell's winding me up? And then the journalist rang me. She was like, no, Natalia, you've won it. I was like, how? I wasn't in it. She was like, no, I put you in it. She's like, they're going to call you back. Don't hang up. And I'm like, what? And I was like, okay. So they rang back and I said, how long have I got to decide? She said, well, you need to let us know within the next 24 hours. I was like, okay. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to benefit. I never did it to get anything from it. And also with the charity, there was a guy who had done a Channel 4 documentary, how he did it in memory of his best friend that died. And I was like, there's more people deserving than me. I don't want to take this, and I never did it for credit, and I never did it to win any award. I said, I don't feel comfortable taking it. So I spoke to him and he said, please take it on behalf of the charity. He said, if you can promote this, more people, you might save more people's life. Yeah, that's him. That's me after surgery. I'm bloated up. Because he's 6 foot odd tall and I'm only like 5'2".
So this is the guy
who's got my kidney.
Now got your mum in him.
Yeah. And what they did is they took it from my left side, turned it inside out, put it into his right, and he has 3 kidneys, 2 dead and 1 that works. Yeah.
Yeah, because they leave them in, don't they?
Yeah, because it's too traumatic for your body to take them all out. Yeah, and that's his wife. Yeah.
And what's his name?
Chris.
Chris Winter.
No,
oh,
that's not his surname. Yeah,
at the bottom,
no,
isn't it?
That's not his surname. I don't know what his surname is. I've forgotten what his surname is. And every anniversary we message each other, just check it's okay, because what I haven't thought about is that kidney will die eventually, and then it's like my mum's died again, isn't it? I haven't thought about how I'm going to deal with that. Yeah. At the moment, it's still going good, and it's going better than He would. Like, he was telling me how much medication he used to have to take. He just takes one for anti-rejection. He couldn't go on a holiday. He couldn't pee. He couldn't do anything. Like, his life was gone. He couldn't even walk very far. And then he wakes up from hospital and he's like, he recovered like instantly compared to me. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, and Heathrow were great. They gave me up to 6 months full payoff for it. They were really, really good with it. If you do have a job that won't pay, the hospital that you're donating to will give you what you would normally get in your salary, so you don't lose out. So I got this Pride of Britain award, and I said, okay, I'll take it on behalf of the charity. I got to the Pride of Britain award with I got to take my best friend and my brother, and I was going to them both. If you love me, let me go home. I want you to vomit. I was like, what? Like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is just too much. Celebrities, I didn't even know who they all were. I was going to my brother, who's that? Who's that? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, made in Chelsea. What's made in Chelsea? I'm like, and I was like, I just felt way over. I was in the toilet wanting to puke in. Like, I really didn't like it. Did not like it at all. It was way out my comfort zone. But what it did is, that year, they were so inundated with people that wanted to donate kidneys that they had to turn people away. And now they always have a segment on Pride of Britain where somebody has donated an organ. But I got to go the next year, and that was better because I wasn't on the awards. I just got to sit and enjoy it all. Because I was doing interviews for the Pride of Britain before, and one radio station got really horrible with me. You do know your dad's a murderer, don't you? And the editor of Daily Mirror was with me, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, oh, can I get some free tickets this year? And he's like, yeah, no problem, sort it out. I was like, okay, thanks. So I got to go twice. So the second year, I really enjoyed it because I just got to mingle with celebrities, and it was fun. I didn't have to go up on the stage. So it did promote it. Now there's hundreds of people have done it, yeah. I got a lot of abuse when people found out why I was doing it. What happens if you have kids? And I was like, you do realise just because you've got kids, you're not going to be, it doesn't mean you're going to be a match to them. And also, I don't want children. And everyone's like, oh, you'll change your mind. I was like, nope, I know I don't want children. I'm never going to have children. So, no problem. So my mum gets to live on. And I was sick of Googling it, and all you got was my mum's murder. I was like, I want to change your legacy. I want to prove that you can change your legacy. Now, when you Google my mum, it don't come up about murder. It comes up about kidney donation, how she saved a life. And I was like, that's what I want people to know, that if whatever you've gone through, you can change your legacy with a click of a finger. You just start. You just got to do it. Just start. Do something to change your legacy. So my mum's legacy now is not murder. It's that she lived on. And whether he's done a pay forward or not, I don't know. I've never asked him. That's his concern to do. And I've still got 2 more pay forwards for my lifetime. And I'll know what they are where they are. They just won't be extreme as that. It'll be something littler than that.
Just one eye.
Just one eye. And
just one eye.
Just one eye.
You can live on one.
You can give some of your liver. I was looking at that. I was like, I'm going to become obsessed with
part of it.
Yeah, because your liver grows back. Yeah, but I was like, no, she's living one. She don't need to live in loads of different people. And
you'll be immortal.
Yeah, and I decided as well that I would live the life where my mum can't, because you're the same age as me. My mum died at 47. I've only got a year and a half, and I'll be at the age my mum was. I've still got loads of life left in me.
Yes.
So I try and do stuff that I know my mum would love, which is how the tent box came in and stuff. Yeah, and then that's how I got a Pride of Britain award. But there was loads of misery in between all that, hatred, embarrassment that I got into drugs, like shame. And then now I'm in the area of fuck it. I don't care. Like, people say, oh, why do you tell people your personal stuff? You can't use it against me. What are you going to do? Threaten me to tell my life story? It's already out there, mate.
Yeah.
Like, my sister's really private. She hates it. She hates it. And I'm like, no, because then nobody can ever use that against you. And it helps with people. I wish when I was 19, we had TikTok, and there was somebody I could have heard a story and gone, oh my God, that's happened to me. What did you do? How did you do it? And the amount of people that message me saying, oh my God, your story helped me do this, this and this. And I'm just like, well, that's my mum. It's not really me. Like, domestic violence, the worst days is something like 90 days after they leave is when women get killed. And like, so all the time I never want to tell people just leave, because I'm like, when I told my mum to leave and look what happened. So if you're going to leave, just make sure you do it safely. Make sure like you're protective and you're good. But yeah.
It's really weird because close to where we are now, I always remember there's this one house, and it literally is only a stone's throw away. And we always used to go past there. My mum always used to say, that's where the battered wives go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how she knew it. I don't know. But
that's the hostel I was in. It was a battered woman's hospital, yeah.
And we, you know, that's, I don't know, I think my brothers and sisters used to say it as well, but that was the,
Yeah.
and you didn't really understand what that meant as a youngster. It was just, there's the,
Yeah.
you know, there's the, that's what they used to call it, there's the battered wives'
Wives'
house,
house, yeah.
battered wives hostel or whatever it was. It was a big house, and I don't, I'll have to drive past it later to see, but I'm sure there was some sort of bars and things.
Yeah, because the men aren't allowed in there. You have
Yes.
to, even if I had a visitor, they had to sign in. You had to
Yes.
let them know who it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I refused to let what happened to me turn it negative, because the only option I had was you get on with it and you figure your way out of it, or you're going to end up in a loony bill, or you're going to start playing the victim, and I'm not playing the victim, or you're just going to end up so depressed you're going to kill yourself, or how does that save your life? It doesn't. You've got to pick yourself up. Even though I had to get through drugs to get through that was my coping mechanism till I realised that wasn't healthy, and then find a healthier way of dealing with stuff. Because I will not let what happened to me define who I am or make me hate this world, because this world has some beautiful stuff in it, even though it has some nasty and horrible negative stuff. And since I've had I have a tent box on my car, and I go out and I'm meeting people that live in their vehicles because they're homeless, because their relationship is split up and they can't afford to live on their own, and they're the happiest people ever. And we just appreciate no rain. We appreciate that sunrise, that sunset, just having a little fire in front of our vehicles or tents or whatever, and just making you appreciate the tiny little things that when you're in that dark place you can't see them, so you have to go find it could just be that morning coffee that makes you feel great, or any tiny little thing that puts a smile on you, a comedy show, anything that's going to make you laugh, because you just need to start it. Once you start it, then you're like, I've learned probably in the last couple of years how beautiful the world can be, even though it's got some evil people. So what you do is you cut them off. My favourite word is block and delete, block and delete. And there was a saying that said, if nobody's texting you at night and not texting you in the morning, is that called loneliness, or is that freedom? To me, that's freedom. That is my freedom. And if you go to a table and that's not your people, get up and go. You don't have to sit at that table. My family, I've cut them all off. Cut all my family off. Because if you're going to I wouldn't let my friends treat me the way you treat me. So then I've given you a warning. You have 3 strikes and you're out with me. I gave you 3 warnings, you don't carry it on, and that's it, I cut it off. And in the beginning of my book, it says, friends are God's way of apologising for our family, because all my friends, I've chosen them, they're my family. I have a woman I call my mum, I have a woman I call my dad, I have my brothers and sisters, and they're all people that I choose that love me for me, and that's it. And would do anything for me, who have put roofs over my head, fed me, when they've done what a family member would do, because I'm selective who my friends are, because I don't have anyone in negative or anyone that's going to make me feel shit about myself. I already can make myself feel shit. I'm not going to have you telling me, like, oh, it's so annoying when you do this. Well, can I change it? I've tried, I can't, that's it. Or tell him, belittling me, or keep reminding me that I used to be a druggie, but I'm not a druggie anymore. That's not me, that's not the life I've got. I can prove to people that even though you fail school, you can still have a decent job. When I was at Heathrow, I was working with people that had got university degrees, and I was like, how come I didn't go to uni? You've got all this debt and I haven't. So we both ended up in the same place. So was it worth going to uni? And they used to say the worst thing I did was go to uni. Unless you're going to be like a doctor or specifying something. Normal people like me that don't have it can still get it. And when I apply for jobs, I apply for hundreds, and I say, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say, no, that means it's not my job. It's not for me. Everything I do in life is, I want to do, like, I climbed Snowdon last year, hated it. I don't even know how I got to the top. Halfway through, I was like, this is so hard, I just want to turn around and go back. Guess what? My birthday next month, I've gone and booked Snowdon again. Because I was like, the achievement when you get up there, the view when you get up there, the appreciation that you can climb that goddamn mountain. I'm going to do it again, I don't care. Even though I know I'm going to hate it, and I know halfway up I'm going to want to quit, but I refuse to quit, because you're already halfway up, there's no point going back down. And just do things that you don't want to do, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Even if it's something you really want to do. If it's going to make you homeless, or you're going to starve, or you're going to die, I get it. Maybe not try it. Other than that, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail. No problem. Start again. How many times do we go to the gym and then we miss a day and that's it? We don't go for a month and then you go again. It's okay. You just start again. So that's my favourite saying. What's the worst that's going to happen? Like when I got my tent box, what happens if you get killed? Well, actually, statistically, murderers go and put the dead bodies where I'm off grid. They don't go get the victims. By the time they find me, they've already got the victim and they're about to bury him. And then if the universe decides that my life's going to be like a mum and I'm going to get murdered, so be it. At least I had fun on the way. You can't live like that, because how do you even get out your door? What happens if I get run over by a bus? What happens if I have a car crash and die? You can't live like that. So I go and say, well, whatever happens, happens, and that's it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? That's it. Most of the time, it's just a no. Are you going to fail? Okay, no problem, I'll fail. I'll try again another day. That's it.
Wow. I'm speechless.
And that's part one of the story. Yeah. Then it gets worse.
There's two things that you mentioned there. Sorry, one thing, and you were talking about family and friends. And have you heard the quote, blood is thicker than water? Do you know what the real quote is? The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And it doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
It means those bonds that you make, they are the real bonds, not necessarily the bonds that are forced upon us as family.
Yeah.
And that's what the actual quote is, but it's taken out of context. So we all think that blood is thicker than water means your family before your friends. Yeah. That's not the whole quote. Mm. So those friendships, those people that you decide to put into your life, in many ways are more important than the people that were forced upon you, as in brothers, sisters and things like that. And it's, so there's that. And then I did a podcast on, when did we do, Tom? Wednesday? 2 days ago. He's a life coach now. And he said, you need to read this book, and it's called 4,000 Weeks. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Is that how many weeks we have in our whole life?
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky.
If we live to 80, we have about 4,000 weeks. So that means that you and I, who are the same age now, if we are lucky, we have 35 more Christmases.
Then time is the limit. Start doing what you want to do, because it's like, did you hear about the nurse who worked with people that were dying, and what were their last things on the deathbeds? None of them said, I worked extra hours, I wish I'd done more overtime. It was all to do with, I wish I'd spent more time doing the stuff I wish I'd been more naked, or I wish I'd didn't give a care about my body and stuff.
Ask that girl out. Taken that trip.
Because it's funny, that's what I love about America. So one of my best friends I met on the internet, and he lives in America, and I always used to go visit him for a whole month. And in America, when you go to a restaurant, the diner, a bar, if you're single, they'll sit you at the bar unless you ask to be in a booth. So they'd sit me at the bar, and then somebody else comes along, and you're like, what have you got? What are you eating? And you start, everybody talks to each other. And I was explaining that because at the time I lived in London, I said, in England, you sit at a table. No one's going to talk to you at a table. Exactly. So my friend used to go to work and just drop me off somewhere. Like, where are you? And I'd be like, I've made a new friend in this diner. I've been to this bar. I've been here. I was like, all of you Americans are amazing. And they couldn't understand that in England, people don't talk to each other. No. And they don't care. They'll ask a girl out. If you say no, that just means you're not my person. While here, everyone's like, rejection. I was like, in America, how are people single? Because everybody talks to each other.
Whereabouts in America were you?
New Jersey. So I used to go every New Year. Before I went onto the cruise, because I worked on a cruise ship, and this is the second year I haven't been for New Year, and I was like, because the prices were shot up, and I was like, I just want to come back for America, But he said, I love you coming, because you just go off by yourself. I got pulled up by the police for walking the streets, because he was like, you do know, Matt, I'm in America. Only the people that are doing crime or are doing something they shouldn't be doing are walking the streets. I said, I'm from England, we walk everywhere.
It's funny because I teach a pilot. He flies for Virgin. And it was a couple of weeks ago, actually, and he says, I can't remember where he was. Anyway, wherever it was, Atlanta. And he says he's gone out one morning, had his coffee, and just going for a bit of a walk. And the police officer says, you're not from around here, are you, sir? And he's like, what makes you say that? He says, because nobody walks around here. He's like, I would turn around and keep going that way because it's not going to be good. What happens
they
to
don't have MOT, so you drive like a car worth £10 because they don't have MOTs.
Do you know what I learned yesterday or the day before? They don't insure a car.
No, you are insured, Because my friend was like, do you want to drive my Hummer? I was like, I certainly do not. You're on the wrong side of the road. I was like, no. He was like,
Bizarre. So they can drive any car?
Yeah. And then it's just mad, the language difference.
That's a good idea. Yes.
Like I was in an ice rink and this coach was like, move your fanny. And I was like, you can't say that to a girl. She was like, what? And I was like, what does it mean in your country? And she was like, it means your ass. And I was like, I don't mean that in England. Don't say that to a woman. Yeah.
Do you know what? That makes sense now. Because can you remember when we were kids? Fanny packs. Yeah. Those little bum bags.
And then weird things. So I was saying to my friend, have you got an iron? I need to iron my crease out my clothes. Your what? Your crease? You mean your wrinkles? No, my wrinkles are on my face. The creases. And he's like, what? And all the time he was like, I don't understand. What word does that mean? And it's a different word. Yeah, the language is totally different.
Yeah. I can't remember. It was one of the comedians, one of the English comedians. Don't know it, and he was talking about it and was like, the Americans, they're just so stupid because they have to literally name things.
Yeah, sidewalk, you're walking on the sock.
Waste paper bin, trash can. You know, and you think, gosh. And then there was another one.
It was bad when I worked on a cruise ship because it's all American things. So the staff used to say, can you teach us English? We only know American English. And there was one girl that was like my favourite. And I taught her the word skiving. So on the radio, I'd go, Anna Lynn, can you come and help me find the skiving place, please? And I made all British people that worked on the ship, don't tell any of security, because I worked in security, what the word skiving means. And only me and her knew. And nobody knew what the word skiving was. It was like a foreign language.
Yes.
We used to go skive.
It is. And I quite like watching, there's a couple of girls on TikTok who are Americans. One's an American and one, I think, is South American, Chile or somewhere like that. And they've lived here for ages. And they're like, these are the things that are completely different in England to America. And these things that we say, and these things that we do. And we go down the pub for a pint. And you know.
But even like everything's so big, so they have this thing called a big gulp, which is $1.99. It's like this big, and it's a refill machine where you go fill up your drinks.
Yes.
And you see everybody carrying them. You're never dehydrated in America because you have all this drink.
But they do have diabetes.
Yeah, yeah. I said I'd be on that program, £600 that. Because everything is so bad for you, amazing. Like mozzarella in breadsticks, you like the cheese pull in England, we don't have that. No. And it's like the pizza in New York. Oh my God, one slice bigger than my head. Yeah.
I'm taking my girls to New York in February.
Oh, you'll love it. But you have to be careful when you buy. So I ordered, remember, pasta for my lunch, and it came with a salad, something else. I said, I didn't order that. He said, no, it comes with it. I was like, but this is feeding like 3 people. The sizes, McDonald's, they're small, is our large.
Yes.
It's like, you don't realise, because you just go small, medium, you don't realise the size. The milk,
the chips are enough to feed a family, aren't they?
And the milk is our UHT milk. Trying to find real milk in America. Difficult. Trying to explain to them that this isn't real milk. Bread, sweet.
Yes.
It's like, it doesn't taste like bacon is the worst, the American bacon.
Medicine is sweet.
Go down the what do they call it? We call it vitamins. Vitamin aisle. Thousands and stuff. And the medicine and the adverts on TV for medicine.
Unbelievable.
Goes side effects, mild, death. Yes, You're like, in England we don't have this on our TVs.
Yeah, we're not allowed to advertise, are they, pharmaceutical? Yeah. I can remember...
Because you need to get melatonin in America. They sell that over the counter, and it's just like a sleeping tablet.
Yes.
In England, you have to get it on prescription.
There's so many things you can just buy. I can remember going to Florida.
It's all got bleach in it. That's why the teeth are white. Ooh.
Yes.
That's why the teeth are white. It's got bleach in it.
We did 2 weeks in Florida, and the junk food just got too much to us, and we found this amazing place called Sweet Tomatoes. Ooh. And you've never tasted food like it. But it was all sweet. It was vegetables, but the broccoli was just like sweet. Yeah. Everything.
It's like lobster in England. I don't like lobster or crab. It's too fishy. In America, it's sweet. Yes, so I was like, oh my God, this is delicious.
Sweet. Yes, you go to the Red Lobster and it's beautiful. Sweet. It is. Yeah, they're very different, aren't they?
But I love America, yeah. If I could get to America, I would. Yeah.
I do. I think if I because I'm a tennis coach, that's what I am. That's what I do. I think if I had my time again, I would have potentially have gone to the States to coach there, because I do know a few guys that have done that, and they live there now.
Yeah.
It's a better climate for it. They're more geared up to being able to offer it, I perhaps would have done that. But
after working on a cruise, now I've realised how much England has that is beautiful that I don't even know it's there. Like amazing, like
to offer.
Yeah, I've got so much of Scotland, Ireland, Wales to do, Cornwall.
Yes,
that we just don't realise is in our country.
Yeah. I drove took my girls a few years ago to Loch Ness. Took fucking hours. Being completely night. So I don't really plan anything ever. There's nothing planned more than a couple of days in advance. So we've decided
that must be ADHD, because I'm not a planner.
And I've kind of looked on the map.
Yeah.
Kind of looked.
I know where I'm going, and that's it.
There's Scotland. Won't be too bad. So you get to Scotland, it's taken you 6 hours. And then you look and there's another 6 hours to go. You're like, what? I'm in Scotland. But
you don't realise how big it is, yeah.
Beautiful.
So I want to do, on my bucket list, is the Isle of Skye, because my mum loved that, and then the NC 500, which is the American version of Route 66, I didn't even know that existed till I started getting into going out with my tent, and people are telling me, I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole of Wales, you've got waterfalls, beaches, mountains. Yeah, Cornwall, the best beaches in England are in Cornwall. Ireland, mountains, amount of stuff that's in Ireland. Yeah, Peak District that's right next to me. Yeah,
Lake District, amazing. Yeah, we've got some beautiful places to go. So tell us about this tent thing that you've got then, because you did briefly show me it.
Yeah, so since lockdown, I wanted a tent, but they're expensive. They're like over £1,000 They're not cheap.
For the one that goes on the car?
Yeah, that's the base. That's the cheapest version. There's 2 other versions where they're automatically open, or you just pull one thing. And I've wanted it, but I couldn't justify it. But I hate camping.
Okay.
Absolutely hate camping because I can't put a tent up.
Yes.
And when I got this one, the first time, because the tent box is the make of the tent. You can get other varieties. So they have a Facebook group. So you get to ask questions, learn about things. So I was like, where can I go for my first trip where there's lots of people, so I'm not out in the world, I'm not scared, just to test it out. And they all go Scarborough on the seafront. It's free at night, loads of people, all camper vans there at the front. Since lockdown, they've done it. Yeah, that's what it looks like when it's open.
Is this?
Yeah.
That's what yours. That's
that's mine. That's my one. So that is on Scarborough front, so you can see the beach is right next to me.
Yes.
So I made sure I packed in next to camp.
This is you.
Yeah,
this is
my. That's my car.
How have you found this, young
on
man?
TikTok. That's my TikTok.
Come on.
That's my TikTok picture.
Wow.
So they said go to Scarborough. So I made sure I parked next to a camper van, and there was another little van. And the guy in the van was homeless. He was living in there. And the other one, his wife had cancer, and they said we can stay in our house staring at the 4 walls, or we go here and we've got a beach view. What we're going to do. So that's where I went first. And I said, right, I'm going to go get a campsite. I want to see what the difference is to wild camping, where you got to take a portable toilet with this one, to having shower facility and everything. And I was in Scotland for the first one, and I saw a couple, I'm not kidding you, for 30 minutes, falling out of each other. She got in the car. He was like, fuck this, fuck that. We're never going camping again. And they're arguing over putting a tent together.
So this is you, is it?
Yeah, this one's wild camping.
And where was this?
This one is northeast. This is Blythe. So when I got the tent, I didn't want to be around people. I was sick of people. I just wanted to go on my own and spend time by myself. So in therapy, I'm doing, my therapy's finished, but I'm doing inner child work. And my last thing has to be able to write at the end of the letter, everything will be all right. And I'm not there. I'm still not there. So when I wanted to go off camping, right, do letters to my younger self, do self-healing and stuff. That time I went, met some people. Second time I went to the campsite, I didn't meet anyone. But they were fighting over putting this tent together. So I was like, this is why I don't do it. That takes 5 minutes. Now you can see it's ratcheted to my wheel. There,
yes,
yeah. Didn't do that in Scotland because the weather was beautiful. All of a sudden the wind came out. I was sat in front of the tent. The whole tent toppled in front of me. And I was like, oh my God, this gust of wind. So luckily I managed to get out and then ratcheted it down to my tyre. This couple come back, their tent's gone. And I was like, that's why I don't do camping. That one, I'm safe in there. So then after Scotland, I went to this remote place up in the northeast, and I was like, don't want to be with anyone. That's it. I've done enough people. Yeah, that's a price. If you use my name, you get a £50 discount, though.
Okay, well,
with tent box.
Somebody have to put it in.
When you go to buy it, it asks you if you've got a code. You just put my name in.
So
Natalia Aggiano.
Is
Natalia
Aggiano.
If you can spell it, yeah. So I went to this place in the northeast, and the universe was like, no.
Ben, we're getting one.
Yeah.
We're getting one.
What's the code?
We're getting one
Natalia Aggiano. Yeah. Discount. Yeah, that's where you would put it there, and you'd get £50 off. So the universe was like, no, we're not going to let you go out there by yourself. We're going to find your people. And I turned up in this place, and the road was dead. There was just this camper van and a van. And I said, yeah, there you go.
There you go. So it's 50 quid off.
And I said to the guys, hey, guys, is it okay if I just park next to you? I'm on my own. I just want to make sure I'm safe. Yeah, no problem. Lit a fire. Come and sit next to the fire. These are now my 2 best friends. They know all the secret, amazing places up north. One's got PTSD, so he turns his car into the seats back so he can sleep in it, and he goes out the weekend in his car. He's got a home, he's got a wife. The other man's got a house, but he said every weekend, why am I going to sit in depressed, staring at the 4 walls when I can come out and look at beauty with my dog?
This might be the best thing I've ever seen.
And they take me to places, so you can go off-grid, you can go, so the difference with off-grid is, you haven't got a toilet, you haven't got a shower. Now, if I'm off-grid, I have a portable toilet where you put powder in it and it dissolves it like a nappy. So you can't smell it, you can't do it, and then you can just put it in a doggy bin. That's great. Yep. Shower, I've got a bowl of water. I have a thing called, it's a cheaper version of a jet boil. It boils water within 30 seconds. So it boils my water, and I go in my tent with my bowl and I have a wash. Or I go to my gym. I'm with Pure Gym. Amount of times I've gone to Pure Gym. I'm sorry, I know I'm in my pajamas. I just need the shower. I do normally go to a gym workout, but I'm stinking, so I'm going to have a shower. I'll come back later. And I go and use the gym, and I have a shower there. At the campsite, you've got a shower, you've got electric hookup. So for next month, I'm going to a campsite because I need a heater, because in case it gets too it's going to be cold in the tent. I've got FOMO at the moment because it's been raining non-stop. I've not been out since November. It's doing me head in. So I'm itching to get out. So that's why I was like, right, it's my birthday next month. I'm off to Snowdon.
Do they fit on any car?
Any car. Minis. You've got minis on it. Yeah.
So what's inside? What's in it?
Is the waterproof. That's what makes the noise in the wind. It's too noisy. It drives you. You can't sleep in it. It drives you nuts. But if you take it off, the tent isn't waterproof. But I've just found out you can buy this paint that you paint on it and it makes the whole tent proper waterproof.
Yes.
So then I can take that stupid flap away and it won't. The tent doesn't move. It's sturdy as hell. So that's what it looks like on the inside. So I have a thermal kit that my best friends, bless them, got me for my Christmas birthday, which keeps it a lot warmer as well. That goes in. They're like, I don't know, 200 quid, I think, on that. You'll see them on the accessories. You go accessories and then go that one. So you can buy loads of accessories. That 2.0. I've got that inside my tent, so it keeps a lot of the frost out. But if you're in minus something, it's still going to be cold.
Yes.
I have a hot water bottle that's the length of me that I got last winter for £2 once the winter stuff starts selling it. And I fill that with water and it keeps me and the tent warm. And you can just pull up and put it together. It takes when you first got it, it takes you about 30 minutes to figure it out. Now I've got it, 5 minutes takes to put up, 5 minutes to take down. I swear to you, it's not. If I'd brought my ladder, I could have showed you it, but I didn't bring my ladder because I can't reach the top of my roof because I'm a midget. So I have a ladder to get up.
Benno, we can get one within 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. In the November, they had a massive sale. So wait, they might have the January sales because in
They
November,
might,
when it was the Black Friday, that they got discounted like crazy.
Or if I make some content for them.
Yeah, well, I've tried. I always keep tagging them because I want.
Do you?
I tell you who I want. Maybe they'll hear your tent box. I want the power banks. They're made by all different companies, and I tag them in every video with my camper van and with my tent box, and I'm not getting them.
So what's that? It's like a battery.
So it's a battery that you charge up at home before you go. So when you go out, you've got electric, so you can
Charge
get
your
a heater,
phone
charge
or
your phone
little
or
TV
whatever.
or something.
But they go from 500 quid upwards. Then you need solar power. And I know that they have given them to some TikTokers that have got less followers than me, but I don't know how they've got it, and I don't want to go and ask. I'm too.
Ben, we're on this, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're on
That
this.
is my
we'll
dream.
reach out if we can get some stuff.
Because if you've got solar power, you can go for a week. And because I work from
Yes.
home 40% of the time I'm in the office, I've got a Wi-Fi box that goes with me. So I can work from home and I don't have to come home. See, these are always out of stock. That's one make.
What are these? Are these the?
So they're solar
the solars?
panels. But that's not the best make to get. I've
So
forgotten.
you'd get a battery and then you'd get the solar panels.
Yeah, and then that would charge it.
Oh.
Yeah.
We get the barbecue
Yeah.
for the carnivore.
Yeah.
Bow and arrow, fishing rod.
Yeah, so some of the people that I go, they have fishing and stuff. We all have bonfires at night with either coal or wood, whatever. Yeah, we've got all that. I go in to go outdoors. Oh my God, I'm like that. I want everything.
This is the biggest go outdoors you've ever
don't tell
seen
me
just
that.
down the road here.
Don't tell me that.
Yes.
Because the other thing I want at I'm waiting for the January sales from Go Outdoors is they have this thing that is called what's it called? Basically, you can come out of the shower and it dries you. A dry robe.
Dry robe.
Yeah.
That's what the lady had on the other day.
Yep.
She came in one.
That's my next thing. So I've got a whole list. I'm ticking off. I'm slowly but surely getting stuff because the problem I've got.
How much are they?
Nearly 100 quid.
We'll
Over
buy you
100
that.
quid. No.
No, we'll
I
buy
won't
you that.
accept
No,
it.
we'll buy you that one.
So the
We'll
reason
get one.
the
Dry
reason
robe.
I can't buy stuff is another podcast to come is my last partner put me in an IVA. So now, like, most of the stuff, like, I have to justify where all my money goes. So it's either friends buying me stuff in return for me doing something for them or just people kindness of stuff. So, but I have got a list. I'm slowly going through it. But yeah, we will get there. And I love it. Like when you wake up and when you go to sleep to the sound of the waves and you wake up to the sound, because I love water, anything that's got water, it's just amazing. And you can't be, there's been times it's pissing it down. I'm stuck in that tent all day long and I'm the happiest person ever. I've got my tablet, I've got books, whatever. And I'm just happy because I'm just out in nature. And when people used to say, oh, if you're feeling sad, go for a walk. And I used to go, as if going for a walk's going to make you better. When I'm in that tent, that is my safe place. And now because my dream is to have a home. I don't have a home. I'm always living with friends or in a shared house. I now have a home. I'll never be homeless. If anything ever happens, I've got a home. It's on top of my car. I'm never going to be homeless. That is now my home. That's how easy it is to take out, look. The only problem with me is I need a ladder to go up and unzip it all, but just because my car's I didn't realise how tall my car was. And you meet the most amazing people that are doing the same thing. My dream is now a camper van. That's what I want. A camper van, a dog, and go off grid, and I'll live off grid. One guy who was homeless did a GoFund and he got enough to do it, but I want to do it myself. I want to say I've done this by myself. And that's my dream now. I do a competition every month, a raffle where you can win. It's called Vanny Campers, where you can win a camper van, and I go in it every month trying to win a camper van because that's my dream. I want a van, a little dog, off grid, and just have views like this. And I can work from any office with my job, and I can work from home. So that's it. As long as I've got my laptop, got Wi-Fi.
And I guess there's a little community, is there?
On Facebook. So we have one for just ladies only.
Sites that they all go to?
Yeah, so they do meetups only in the summer at the moment. We have a group for Northwest, Leicestershire, whatever area you're in. They have one for just ladies only. They have one for single parents. They have one for dogs, people that have got dogs. And they're the most helpful. So when I got my tent, I went on that group and 2 people came and helped me put it on my roof because I couldn't physically do it. It weighs 52 kilograms, which is the weight of a person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't use my miles per gallon or whatever. It hasn't changed. It's still the same. It doesn't use more fuel.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant in terms of putting it on. It's just having a person in.
Yeah. They've just brought out this kitchen thing, but
wow.
Yeah, that you can get.
This is a whole new world to me. Because I'm fascinated sometimes.
There is other companies. The only difference is I've went to have a look at the other ones. Their material's a little bit flimsy. Like when I drive, you don't hear anything. Theirs, you hear it flapping if they drive next to me. Their material's a lot more thinner than
and look at this.
Yeah.
They've got like a little gazebo and all sorts.
A lot of it is trial and error. So the first time I went, I didn't have anything to go to the toilet. I was like, oh my God, so I was like Googling stuff. It's all trial and error, and that's the fun of it. But now I've got enough that there's nothing I don't need. I can wait to go home to need. I pre-batch cook food before I go.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is just put it in a pan. I've got a little fridge, a little cooler box that keeps it all cold, and I put ice in it, and that keeps it cold the whole time I've been out. Yeah. And it's just the freedom, you just go. Because that's what I say, what's the difference? You sat in 4 walls at home, watching TV, reading a book, whatever.
Losing your mind.
Wouldn't you rather just do that? And
yes.
It's free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything.
And is it easy to find places
so
that you
there's
can
an
park
app
up?
Called Park for Night, and it tells you doggying areas, don't go. So if someone flashes you, so if someone
tells you the doggying areas.
So if you're flashing, it'll say that's a doggying area. So
I think I've spotted a few of them recently.
Yeah. And it'll tell you where you can park, where you can't, where it charges you, where they don't.
Dogging area.
No, Park for Night. Park, and then the number 4, then night.
Park for night.
Park for night, yeah. So I've only had one shady thing. I was in the Peak District, and we'd all reverse parked in. So I had 3 camper vans facing me, and I was reverse parked in. My ladders were this way. A car pulled in with the lights going straight into my tent. I heard the engine on. I heard the 2 doors open and close. Didn't hear nothing. 20 minutes later, I heard 2 doors open, close. Sat in it another 10 minutes and drove off. Because then I thought, if I scream, you've got 3 camper vans in front. So I'm always careful. I try and park where there's camper vans, always someone can't see me. Yes. Stupid me got the orange one, which I should have got the other. Don't get the orange one, get the other colours, because one, that makes it darker in there. As soon as it gets light in mine, I'm bright, you're awake.
Right.
And 2, orange, you can see me a mile off.
Yes.
If you get the darker ones, it's easier to hide places, yeah.
Have you got a big baseball bat?
Well, this is why I need to speak to a policeman, because I don't know. If you come in my tent and I stab you and you die, is that murder or is it self-defence? Because you have to prove self-defence, but you've come into my home. That's my home.
Yeah.
So I'm not having anything till I know I'm not going to get done for murder if I stab you. Because if you kill someone with 1 stab. So I'm not having anything until I know I'm
not.
I'm not
kill someone with one punch.
I don't want to go to prison. They'll eat me alive. So so I'm not doing anything. That
would not be a good end point for your life, would it? Could you imagine?
Like daughter.
Yes. You see, we told you all along.
So that's why I won't do it till I know for sure that, because it's hard to prove.
Yes.
Self-defense.
Yes.
But why are you coming up my ladder?
Exactly.
But no, and I've never felt unsafe anywhere apart from that one place.
Would you do Europe?
In a camper van, yes. I don't think I would in a car. But in Europe, they've got better places. So they have places where you park up, you get free water. You get places to do you can get electricity for like 20 cents. Loads more places than in England. In England, they try to stop you going everywhere. You can put in barriers to stop you getting in. That's why the tent box is great, because we're not restricted on height. Yeah. And here they also have like washing machine places that are like a garage, and you can go do your washing and stuff.
What, in Europe?
In England and in Europe, yeah.
Do they?
So I follow a lot of people.
Do you pay like to you go onto the area to use the facilities and things like that? Is it like
no, not in Europe. They have places for camper vans to go. They've got a place for you to dispose of all your wastewater. You can get free water to fill up. You can get electric. They charge you normally 25 cents for however much, but it's catered for camper vans. In England, they put barriers to stop you going in. A lot of places I've gone and there's a barrier to stop camper vans getting in. They don't want them in there because not everybody takes their rubbish away. But everywhere in Scarborough, there's a man that lives in a tent. He's been there 10 years. Will go around cleaning up people's rubbish. I was at another place. They were on a beach in a tent, living on a tent. They went and cleaned up everyone's rubbish just so that people can still go there. Because people go there and leave their rubbish. It only takes one person and then the council shuts it down.
Yes.
You can't go there.
Yes.
And that's the problem we've got.
Wow.
But that is my freedom, and now that tent is my safe place. When I'm in
So
there.
you live Manchester, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
House?
And I'm living with friends at the moment.
Living with friends?
Yeah.
Partner, husband, nothing?
No. Don't want to be married, and I don't want kids. And people say that's not normal, but who dictates what normal is?
Nobody's normal, are they?
I don't want a relationship after my last 2 relationships that made me go into therapy. And because people don't realise a relationship is hard work. It's not, and people do it because they're lonely. I'm never lonely. I must just be abnormal. I don't get lonely. If I'm lonely, I've got friends, but I can go months without speaking to people, especially with my ADHD. You text me and it'll take me a month to text back to you. I'm like, normally when I'm in my tent, oh God, I didn't message them. I don't get lonely. I've always got somebody if I need a hug, but I'm a hugger when I meet people, but I'm not a hugger all the time hugger. I'm just content in my own space, but that's because I've been to therapy. And most people, not most, but a lot of people are damaged and they won't go to therapy and they won't fix themselves. And what happens is they break me. Because I'm a fixer, I love to fix people. So I can't put myself in a situation where I'm going to be broken again. It's not fair on me to do it. And I don't want to do that. And in a relationship, you have to ask permission to do stuff, even though you don't mean, like if I'm married to you, I have to say, oh, is it okay if I go out in my tent box at the weekend? I don't want to do that. I just want to go.
I think in a good relationship, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, but a lot of people have insecurities. They think, well, who are you going in your camp? Who are you going in there with? And I can't fit 2 people in that tent, especially when I'm out wild because all my stuff's in there. And I'm not going to toilet in front of somebody. I don't care if you're my husband or my best friend. I'm not going in my tent in front of you on the toilet. So nobody's going in that tent with me.
Are there tents that are big enough for 2 people?
There's a next one up from there. It's called XL, which is 4 people.
Ahead.
Yeah, it's 4
4,
people.
okay.
Yeah. But people get paranoid because they've got insecurities, they've got a lot of trauma, and they won't go and get help, or they can't find the help. And what happens is you break me, and I don't want to be broken anymore. And I'm happier when I'm on my own because I don't make myself miserable. I don't hurt myself. People hurt me, and I don't hurt myself. But people think I'm lonely, and I'm not. And I don't understand how people are lonely because I'd rather be on my own than be with the wrong person or be with people that are going to hurt me and damage me. And if that to some people is sad, it's sad, but I'm living my best life right now. I'm the best version of myself after being to therapy, and I get to go out in this tent box now and see the world and meet people that make me appreciate what I've got. Because when I leave, I always make sure I give them everything I've got. Do you need water? Yeah, here's some water. I've got food left over here, take it. And they make me appreciate that, okay, I might not have a mortgage, but I'm happy. I might not have what you all have, but do you know what? I'm really happy because I don't need all that stuff. You just need a roof over your head, food in your belly. I've got all of that. That's the most I need. Like, you don't need everything else. And that's why I want a camper van, because you have to get rid of all your crap. You can't take all that with you in a van. You've only got limited stuff. And that's it.
You learn how to be more resourceful. And
it's funny because before therapy, I wouldn't even go to a restaurant on my own. I wouldn't do anything on my own. But after therapy, the first one was going hiking. And she said, do a TikTok live. You're not on your own. I was like, oh, okay. And that's what I started doing. And then I ran out of signal. I was like, oh, well, I'm stuck now because I've got no signal. Can't go live. I've got to carry on. And that's how I started doing it. And then I just started to learn to love myself and try and finish this inner child. And I can't get to finish it. I can't get that last word. Everything's going to be all right, because everything's not always all right. But once I get that line, I'm closer than I've ever been. Once I get that line in, that's it, done. And I speak to my younger self and say, not everything's going to be all right, but we're getting there. You're happy. You're content. You're satisfied. There's nothing you want more than anything. Anything you get now is just a bonus. It's like why I don't do Christmas and birthdays. I've never had it. And I love giving to people, but I don't like receiving it. I hate it because I'm like, I want to be able to say, I've done that myself. I got that tent myself through hard work. I got it, did it myself. Nobody did it for me. Yeah, my friends got me the thermal, but I dog sit for their little dachshund that you'll see on my TikTok. She has 2 dads and I'm the mum. And they got me that because I always dog sit and I save them money from getting a dog sitter. But what they don't understand is it's a privilege for me to look after their dog, because she's taught me what unconditional love is. And that's why I want my own dog that I can take hiking and we just go off.
Don't get an Akita.
A little dachshund, that's what I want.
Yes.
Yeah. This dachshund is the best dog ever. She's lost her back. She does one back and then she does this. And nothing comes out. She doesn't like water. So she won't go out if it's raining. She doesn't like toys. She just wants belly rubs, treats, and sleep. That's it. She's
perfect.
Yeah. Like, I could be getting beat up and she'd just be wagging her tail. She's the cutest, well-behaved dog in the world. Yeah. She's just so lovely. Yeah. I love her to death. Yeah. But she's getting a bit too old. I don't know if she could handle my hiking, so I need to get a little pup for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bit of energy.
So that's my aim
little
next year,
Labrador.
is to get a little a little Dachshund next year, a rescue one that's had a little hard life that I can
You
help
walk
it
its
get
poor
better.
legs off.
Well, this one did go for a 2-hour hike with me, then we had to do another 2-hour back. I was like,
That's a 4-hour hike for,
she
for a
did,
little
she did
tiny
really
dog.
well, because she'll tell you when she wants to go home. She turns herself around and comes back.
And I suppose you could pick her up.
Yeah, but because she walks behind you. I was like, I think my dog's broken. She never walks in front, always behind. Doesn't have to have a lead. If I say stop, she stops. She's scared of dogs. She sees a dog, she comes in between my legs and she turns her head as if to say, well, if I can't see him, they can't see him.
Yes.
Yeah, never ever does she run off. Yeah, she's the most best behaved dog ever. And she's taught me, you do need some sort of companion, but I'd rather have a little doggy.
Yes, because it is unconditional.
Yeah.
And they don't have bad days,
No.
do they? And they don't bring you
And
down.
they're so happy. As long as you give them food, little belly rubs, they're the happiest people ever. But a lot of people like that, they just want the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I've learned that you don't need all that stuff.
No.
Yep.
You're just stripping back, aren't you? That is really stripping back modern day living to what do I actually need? What do I require to have a good day?
Yeah.
Some food, dry, warm, lovely sunset.
Yeah. Even if it's raining, I don't care. I'm in there, I've got nice views. And I'll read a book. I'll be like, oh, I ain't read a book for a while. Let's read it. Or I'll watch some murder documentary and then make sure I'm totally zipped up. Yeah.
What is it with women and murder documentaries?
I've always been fascinated with it all. Yeah, I don't know.
I was saying on a podcast I did a while ago, I have I don't know why, I have a pull towards the Jack the Ripper era and scene and all of that. Just almost memories I'm
just fascinated how you do it though.
Yes.
Even I was like, I can't hurt a fly. I don't even know how you actually.
Yeah.
Because nobody normally gets killed with one stab. They're like, a stab is a very personal. It's not like a gun I can shoot you. It doesn't really feel like I've killed you. But stabbing is up close and you're doing it more than one time. And I just can't imagine. I guess it's anger. I don't know. They must be angry about something. It's anger. It's got to be, hasn't it? Why would, like, how can you hurt somebody that much? It must be. I don't know. I can't imagine that. I've never been that angry. Yeah. It's like revenge. When people say, do revenge, I said, revenge for me is better in my life, being the best version of it and living the best life I can be. That's the biggest revenge I can ever give on you. Don't need to hurt you in any way. That's enough hurt for you to go, oh my God, in spite of what I've done to her, look at her, she's still living her best life. I didn't break her. She's still going, yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think it's anger and like, it's got to be. You're angry about everything. Something's triggered you to do it. Something's happened. You've got some trauma somewhere that is like you're taking that revenge and anger out. Like it's your mum's. You're thinking of your mum when you're doing it, or you're thinking of somebody.
That bully at school that used to say something to you. But look, it's the human condition, isn't it? It's the human condition. It's never going to be eradicated. And I don't know.
But again, you have to think what you said. Why are they doing it? What's made them do that? They didn't just wake up and go, oh, I'm going to be this horrible person. No. Somebody's done something to them to make them do that.
You know, you often hear about, you know, the kid that's constantly being bullied, and then one day they take a knife into school and it's done. You know,
it's
they've got to that breaking
abuse,
point.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Like in domestic abuse, the narcissist or the terrible person will film you reacting to what they've just done. They won't show what you just did to make them flip. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think your dad was a narcissist?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
A narcissist.
Because it was his way, that's it.
Or do you think it was the schizophrenic that was masquerading as a narcissist?
I don't know. Because the stuff he used to think, I used to think, like, he just couldn't get in his head why I did not agree with, like, I'm not going to be born to be a wife and a mother. That's not my...
He sounds like he could have been a cult leader.
Yeah, definitely. But then when I went to the place where he was brought up, I met this 14-year-old girl, spoke beautiful English because she'd learned it at school. And I said to her, what are you going to be when you grow up? And she said, I'm going to be a mother and a wife. And I was like, oh, God, the times hadn't even got here. And I was staying at my cousin's. She got upset that I wouldn't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to scrub floors with her. I was like, I'm on holiday, mate. Why am I scrubbing floors? And my partner at the time asked for an ironing board to iron his clothes. And she burst out crying, men iron? I said, in England, men do housework. She was like, what? They still hadn't got to how we were... Like now, that's what they believe. But then they're massive on family. So my family in Italy, I am a disgrace to them because I haven't born any children. And because I'm not a wife and I'm not a mother, I'm a disgrace to them, yeah. And I'm like, you leave your disgrace to yourself, yeah. Because I don't want, why should that be what my life is if that's not what I want to be, yeah. And I used to question my dad all the time, and he definitely didn't like that. But what he said goes, that's it. And I think that is a narcissist.
Yeah. But I think a lot of men of that generation.
But it's the way he was
Well,
brought
like
up.
that.
That's
Yeah.
all he knew.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think he got the culture shock when he came to England and then saw that women, like in the 60s, women were like free as a bird. And he's like, what? Yeah. But I do wonder what my mum's life would have been if she'd not picked him. Yeah. But
Well,
you can't live
you
on...
wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. And you can't live on
wouldn't-
what ifs.
No.
That's it. Like I always say to people, I can't change what's happened in the past, good or bad. I can't change that I got into drugs. That's the story that happened. Doesn't mean that's who I am now.
Your mum and dad creating you, who then went on to give a kidney to somebody, that chain of events
Yeah.
may create the next Albert Einstein.
That's that film,
in
Sliding Doors.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
That one split second.
That one split second. So your act of kindness has set this story arc that you're not going to see where it goes, but without your mum and your dad and all of the things that have happened, that branch, and you've
If my
got
mum
no
had
idea
died,
where
I
that
wouldn't
goes.
have been as nice a person as I am. I wouldn't, because I really was. The world owes me a favour. I'm so hard done by. Like all the time to my mum and dad, why did you have me? I never asked to be born. Like I was so full of anger and hatred. And when I learned
Before your mum died?
Yeah. And when I learned what forgiveness was, I was like, like even now, if I'm really stressed out, I get a knot in my belly and I can't eat. And then my hair falls out. That's how I know when I'm in a really bad place. And I used to always have this knot in my belly all the time. And then once I learned about forgiveness and just released, I was like, oh, like a big weight's taken off my shoulder. Why am I living with that anger? All it's doing is going to make me die earlier. Like all it's doing is causing me more pain. Just let it go. Just let it. I can't change anything that's happened. Just let it go. Just live with it. You got to live with it and find a way to get through the badness and make sure there's a positive at the end of it and make sure you're okay and find whatever it is that at that one point, the only thing that survived me was taking drugs. I'm okay. I took drugs. I'm not ashamed of doing that. That's all I could do at that young age to survive.
Yeah.
And then a flick switched and was like, this isn't, when the down was too bigger than when the come down was bigger than the high. I was like, enough is enough. That's it. And you have to cut people off, and it is horrible cutting people off because you think that they're friends, but they're not. They're druggy friends. They're not your real friends.
Yeah.
And people have a problem cutting people off, and I don't. I will cut people off because I'm fed up of feeling crap about myself, or somebody's made me feel crap about myself. And if my true friends tell me stuff about me, I know it's coming from a good place. They're not telling me because they're being horrible or mean or jealous or nasty. I believe my friends who are my family because they only tell me the truth.
It comes from a place of
love,
love, doesn't it?
Comes from a place of love. They would never sabotage me in any way. But yeah, so many people will hang on to people because they don't want to be on their own. And I would rather be on my own than be surrounded by negative people that aren't good for me. Because you become the people you surround yourself around with.
100%.
If I'm taking drugs and you're hanging around me, eventually one day you're going to take it in.
100%.
And if you've got people around you that are just negative all the time. All my friends go through stuff, but we always find a solution to the problem because there's always a solution. You've just got to find it. And you've got to be wanting to get out of that situation. It's like people are homeless and they become unhomeless, and other people stay in that place because they haven't got to that point yet where the switch is flicked and they're like, right, I've got to get out of this situation. They stay, they wallow in that self-pity. And I do still have days when I wallow in self-pity, but I only allow it for 24 hours and that's it, girl, you're not doing it anymore. You can have a little cry and a moan and think life's hard done by, but
Are you trying to bring that time down?
I know, I just allow it. It's my body, probably burnout. It's my body saying,
Yeah.
just have that cry. Because before, when my mum died, I never cried. When my mum died, I never cried. When my dad died, I never cried. I was never crying unless you physically hurt. I was in physical pain. Never cried. And then maybe I'll come back for another podcast and tell you what made me then make me cry. And now I just allow crying. There's nothing wrong with crying. Just let it out. But I do it behind closed doors.
But did you used to stop yourself from crying?
No,
or did you just didn't get the urge to cry?
It started, I think, from a kid because I would never let my dad see me cry.
Yeah.
Never let you. You would never have that satisfaction of knowing what you've done is going to upset. I'd cry behind doors. And then be like, well, you thought... I'd laugh at him. I was like, there's no way you're going to let you see me break. And it just carried on. And even now, I just do it behind closed doors.
Think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Did you think that's...
I just don't want other people to be upset that I'm upset.
Yeah.
Because you worry, you can't help it, can you? If I saw you crying, I'd be worried. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so concerned. And there's nothing wrong with me. I will just literally snap out of it. So just let me have my day of crying and wallow and let me turn my phone off and that's it. Just let me, and that's it, done. And I think it's just a day of just It's your PJ day. Every so often, everyone just has a PJ day cap because I literally do not get out of the house. You're lucky if I ever shower, and I shower twice a day, so that's a lot if I'm not having a shower. And I just literally veg in my bed, and that's it. And eat crap, and that's it. And then tomorrow I get up and I go to the gym. First thing, up early in the gym, and that's it. And that's it for another time,
Tell me about the hostel on London Road.
That was a battered woman's hostel,
Yeah.
A very eye opener.
Was
and
it?
when my mum died, I thought we could. If when I was there, I used to think when I used to tell my mum to leave my dad, this is where we would have ended up. And that's probably why she didn't leave, because she didn't want to bring us up in that.
What's it like in there? What is it? Is
so
it
you
just
all
a
have your
room
own
and a bed?
room, and then you share a kitchen and a
Okay.
bathroom with people, and then they have like a communal area where you can go hang out, and then they've got staff there if you want someone to talk to and stuff. And then if you've got visitors, you had to sign people in and out, so they have to know who's coming. I don't think I ever saw a man in there. There was never any men.
Food provided?
You bought your own food, but you was on benefits or whatever, My one, you wasn't allowed to work in that. So I used to have to sneak out to go get a job so I could get some
You
money.
weren't allowed to work?
No.
Why?
I think because most of them weren't working because they were mothers. A lot of them were more mothers. They didn't...
So were the children there with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd see them to go out, they'd be looking over their shoulders. Because even though it's not advertised that that's what it is, people know that that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and like you say, it's as soon as, I can't remember what the day is, so many days after you first leave an abusive relationship, that's the most dangerous part. 90 days, something like that. And the amount of people that, when I see it on the news and you see people being murdered by their partner, I always think, oh my God, that poor child. Like, nobody thinks about the child, because I know, so I always just hope that one day, if they're struggling as a teenager, they come across my TikTok and see, oh my God, she did it. How did you do it? And I never tell people to go visit their dad or anything. That is your story to do. If that's something that you need, you do. Like when my dad was dying, my brother wasn't allowed to see my dad till he was 18 because my sister was his parent. And my brother had turned 18, and I said, Dad's dying. If you want to go and see him, this is your last chance. I said, but this visit is about you. If you want to swear at him, just punch him in the face, you do that. If you want to leave, we leave. I'll go back another day. But you, whatever you need to get out of your head, you need to go get it now and say bye. And he was like, yeah, I want to go. And then he saw my dad in a wheelchair with a catheter and was like, well, and he just said straight away, I forgive you, Dad. I'm like, because it wasn't the dad that my dad knew. My brother knew he wasn't the same man. And he always said, I'm glad that you let me.
What age was he when he passed?
What year was my dad born? My mum's 1950, my dad's 1942, I think. And he died 2006. So.
You're asking the wrong
No
person.
idea.
Shit with
You got a
numbers.
calculator there? 1942. No, it'd be 2006 minus 1942. 64, yeah.
It's not old, is it?
Not. But everybody in his family died of cancer. All his sisters, breast cancer. Every single one of them. Yeah. And my sister thinks that my dad isn't her dad because we worked out my mum was pregnant when they got married, even though they didn't have sex till they were married. But she doesn't want to know. Me, I've gone on all the DNA and I've put my DNA. I'm on Ancestry, I'm on 23 and me. I want to know if we've got any relatives anywhere. But so far, nobody. I've got nobody on there.
But your sister doesn't think...
She won't go on it. She don't want to know. She's like,
Do you
what
look
I'm
the
going to
same?
do. She looks like my mum's sister. So the best thing my mum ever gave me when I've got no makeup on and look in the mirror, I look like my mum. I never forget what my mum looks like. She's in my face. My brother and sister don't have that. And the last thing I ever said to my mum was, I love you. Even though I was messing about, I said it. They didn't have that. That wasn't their last, they didn't know that the last time they saw my mum was the last time they saw her. And I look like my mum. My sister looks like my mum's sister.
Right.
But she's got the dark hair, dark eyes. So she looks more Italian than me. And she's Italian. My brother looks like my dad's side of the family, definitely, yeah. Even though he's English. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
He has an English and an Italian passport. He was born in England. But yeah, he's more English than me, but he looks more Italian than me, yeah. And they all speak and read and talk Italian.
And you still speak Italian?
I've never spoke it since I was 3 or 4.
You
I understood
understand?
my dad, but now I've lost it.
Have you?
When I was working on a cruise ship and was going to Italy, and the security would bring in food their wives made for me, coffee, in return for me speaking Italian. So the only time they'd let me speak English if I didn't know the word, and I'd say, well, I don't know what the word for that is in Italian, because I only know the Italian dialect that my dad spoke, because it's a different dialect. And if you talked about things, like if you talked about politics, I wouldn't know, because my dad never talked to me about politics. I'd only know the words that my dad would use on an every day. So they started teaching it to me, but I still wouldn't. It's there, but I can't get it out my mouth. It's really weird. I can hear it in my head, but I can't get it out my mouth. It's really strange.
Wow.
Yeah, really was strange. And when I went on cruise ships, I fell in love with Italy. Before that, I used to hate Italy because all it reminded me was my dad, and I started to fall in love with it. And I was going to cafes and listening to Italian men, and I was like, oh, that's like my dad. That would be my dad. And I fell in love with Italian food. I was always into Italian food. My mum she learned Italian food. And when they went over to Italy, everybody taught her how to cook proper Italian. And I just fell in love with the country, actually. So I'd love to go and get a camper van and go around Italy and places like that. And when I was on a cruise ship, it was the anniversary of my dad's death, and my boss didn't know, and we docked in Naples, and I was born just outside Naples, and there's this beautiful palace there, and there's pictures of me as a kid in front of these waterfalls. I didn't know where they were, and my boss paid for me, sorted it out for me and my two best friends to go have the day off. On a cruise ship you don't get a day off, to go to this palace. The taxi man waited for us and then brought us back to make sure we could get back, and we went cycling around this palace, and I managed to get postcards and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's the waterfall, there's a picture of me in a pushchair in front of that my sister's got. So that was really nice to go and see that's where I was born and brought up, yeah. But yeah, I did fall in love with Italy. I never liked Italy before that. But the cruise story is that's another podcast, how I ended up on a cruise ship.
And is it amazing?
I'll give you a small version. I left a cruise ship because I was with a partner who wanted to kill me like my dad killed my mum, and he broke the brakes on my car, and I couldn't prove it was him. So I Googled how to travel the world and get paid in security, because I worked at Heathrow Airport in security, and a cruise ship came up, and I applied, and I got the fuck out of England before I ended up dead. And that's how I ended up on a cruise ship.
Wow. And what did you do on the cruise ship?
Security
on the cruise ship?
It's like being a copper. So when it's docked, it's an airport. You go in and out of things. When you're out to sea, you've got murderers on there. You've got rapists on there. You've got pissheads on there. You've got people saying, "Oh, my wife said she's going to jump." Straight away, that woman's in isolation because we can't risk that you're going to jump, even though you're joking. Next port, you're gone home. Crew members pissing in the corridors in front of cameras, getting fired. Oh, I could write a book with stuff that happens on cruise ship. And what happens on ships stays on ships. Captain's got a wife, he's got a ship wife. Loads of staff got wives and they've got ship wives, yeah. I made the best family on there, but it's hard work. You work 6 to 9 months, 7 days a week, no days off, sometimes 14 hours a day. I don't know how you're working, and they can get fired just like that. If they don't like you, you're gone. There's no employment laws, you're gone. Yeah. But I met the best family. Like, I do miss it, but I like having a day off now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you get to some amazing places, but because people just say, why aren't you putting it on Facebook? I'm like, I'm only there for a couple of hours, and there's me on a beach having a cocktail, and you'll think I'm living the right. I'm only there for a couple of hours, that's it. I get off to get Wi-Fi, download movies and stuff, and catch up with people, have a cocktail, and then get back on the ship. Like you can't be there. And you only get off for security when you're on night shifts, because that's in time. When you're docked, you're busy. It's like an airport, yeah. Yeah. But it is amazing, and you get to see some amazing people, and they become your family. Mm-hmm. They're there for all the highs and the lows, but your mental health on there, you'd wake up and it's like the end of the world for no reason. Why am I so depressed? The next day you wake up and you're like buzzing. Your emotions are sky high because you're in this little tin.
Yeah, when people are confined.
No windows in your bedroom.
Yeah, it's like being in prison, isn't it?
It's like, it's just weird.
Because you get the shittest of the shit cabins, don't you? The people that work on it.
Yeah.
You know,
and I mean, I got offered higher up, and I didn't. I took it from the bottom because my brother was an ice skater on ship. So I knew you either love it or you don't. You won't know till you get there. And you've got to learn all about the ship before you even learn about your job. So you have to know portside, starboard, security. You need to know where everything is. If there's an alarm going off, you need to know. I was on the world's biggest ship at the time. It'd just been built. Like, trying to learn just ship stuff rather than before my even job. So I started at the bottom and I got promoted really quick. And then as soon as you get a stripe, people are holding doors for you. They used to call you super. You're not, your name's gone. You're super. Super. You go in front of me and think. I'd be like, no, you bleed the same, mate. Why are you like... And I remember there was like one of the bridge guys, and he was from Liverpool. Nobody could understand him on the radio. And then he's like, "Is that Natalie on shift today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here." He's like, "Nobody understands me. You're doing everything I'm telling you to do today because nobody can understand me." And so I was sat with them for lunch, and the captain sat with us. And my boss said, "What are you sat with them for? They're above you." And then I was sat with the cleaner. "Why are you sat with her? She's below you." I was like, we all bleed the same. So there was privileges you got with a star. So I could go to Starbucks. You can't go to Starbucks if you haven't got a star. Really? So I used to go to all my team. "Hey, guys, who wants a Starbucks? Come on, let's go. Go for a Starbucks." Everything they couldn't do, I would take them. And then the Filipinos send all the money home because their parents look after their children. Right. And the money goes home to build houses for all their family, pay for private school and everything. So the only time they got off the ship was to go to get free internet. They never ate anything out off the ship, never bought anything off the ship, nothing. So I used to say, come on, let's go on a tour. Have you swam with dolphins? No. I'd go down to the excursions and say, hey, security never gets off. Can I get a discounted ticket? So we're like, you can get it for free. Here, right, we're going to go swim with dolphins. Then we're going to go for dinner. Oh, super, we can't afford it. Dinner's on me. It's $25. It's on me, like for all of us, no problem. And then I remember they used to come and pack my suitcase up because I was so kind to them. So I had some old Tom shoes, and in their country, they were $100. I got them in TK Maxx for like £7. And she was crying over these Toms. I've never worn them. I said, here, have them. And she like kissing my feet because I gave them shoes. Like, and people treat them like crap on ships because they're too scared to say anything, because if they lose their job, their family's starving. And I used to go mad at people and say, don't speak to them like that. Mm-hmm. But because I was kind to them, they wouldn't let me ever pack my suitcase.
They're the most wonderful people.
Inspection every week, they'd come and clean my cabin. And I'd be like, no, I'll clean it. They're like, no, super, we'll clean it for you, yeah. Because I would do kind things for them. And I used to just say, pay it forward. One day you'll meet somebody and you might have a little bit extra in your pocket. Just do something kind to them, yeah. And I got bullied the first time when I was on there, on my first ship. Luckily, I got away with it. And that bully ended up on my ship because I got sent to the ship that was being built still. It was still in the shipyard. And she came to my ship and she was crapping herself. And she said to the Filipinos, oh, my God, I bullied her so bad. And they said, she's not like that. And she came to me and I said to her, look, you're on my ship now. If I hear you bully anyone again, you're in trouble. Other than that, I've got no problem with you, mate. Not a problem. I understand why you're a bully, because people are nasty to you. So you go live your life on this ship. If you need any help, I'm here, but don't you ever bully anybody on my ship. That's it. I'm done. She was like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe you'd forgive me. I said, I've got no problem with you. Go.
Where was she from?
Philippines, yeah. But on that ship that I was with her, the big boss was horrible to her. Yeah. So she took it out on the next person, yeah. I got told on that ship, hold on, because when I went on ships, I took a career break at Heathrow because I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. I didn't want to risk not having a job. And people were going to say, you've got jobs back home. And that means the people in our country are starving now because you've took their job. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
It literally is, it's live or die for them, isn't it? It really is.
Boss is screaming. I had a boss screaming in my face. And then I went to HR and he didn't like it. And I was like, I said, I wrote down everything you did and I went to HR. And the first thing the woman said was, you're from England? I said, I am. She said, oh, you can sue us? I said, yeah, we'll sue you if you don't sort this out. And straight away, yeah. And then luckily...
What ship was it?
I was on the Royal Caribbean.
Were you?
And then luckily I got taken away from there because there was a new ship being built in France and it was called Symphony of the Seas, the biggest ship at the time. Yeah. And somebody couldn't get a visa for Europe. Now I'm travelling on an Italian passport. So on the system, all they see is an Italian new starter. And the guy says, we don't need a visa, she's got an Italian passport. The ship I was on, that guy was like, you can have any of my staff, not her. Because he wanted me, he kept threatening to send me home because he wanted me gone. And the boss there, he wins if you're on a new build. And he was like, nah, I'm having her. So I got called in the office and you go in. I was like, you fire me. He was like, no, you're getting sent to Symphony. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting punished. I went to HR and I came out and everyone's like, what's wrong? Crying. I'm like, they're sending me to Symphony. And they're like, how did you get that? Only the best of the best goes there. Yeah. Got to Symphony, used to keep my head down because I was like, oh my God, I just got to get over this contract, go back to Heathrow, be fine. And the boss calls me in and he said, what's wrong with you? Why are you like... This is the girl I heard is like really outgoing and stuff. And I was like, on ships they have words for things. So if you're in trouble in the office, you get called, you're in bananas. So if you get called to the office, oh my God, what are you in bananas for? I said, on my last ship, I was always in bananas. And he was like, hold on a minute. He went, this is the only banana I'm ever going to give you. And he gave me a real banana.
A real banana?
Yeah, and he was like, it's not like that on this ship. He said, I requested you to come to this ship. He said, you've got no trouble here. And he said, and I heard they offered you higher. Why did you take below? And I said, well, because at your bottom, you can only go up, you can't go down. I said, if I'd gone up higher, I said, I could have gone down. He said, you'll be promoted on the next one. You shouldn't be down there. But then staff didn't like that. They'd been there 10 years and I was getting promoted. But you have to be able to speak English and type. Because when there's an incident, you have to contact the FBI sometimes. You have to do a report. You can't do it in broken English.
No.
So, yeah, so they didn't like that. But, yeah, got loads of stories I can tell you about that. But, yeah, I think that's another podcast, what happened after Pride of Britain.
You've had some life, haven't you?
Yeah. And I think I've only healed since 2021 when I went to therapy, when I finally found a really good therapist that I could feel like I could just tell all my darkest secrets. And then when I told my darkest secrets, I didn't have to be afraid for them because they weren't that dark secrets. She said you just did what you had to do. And what I still don't understand to this day, like she said to me, I have clients that haven't had as much trauma as you, but will need my help for the rest of their life. You don't. You just need me for a little bit and then fix your traumas and then you'll be gone. And I said, but why do they need more help and I don't? She said, for some reason, you are clever enough that your brain knows how to get you out of situations. When you was under threat, you went and got a job and worked on a cruise in the middle of the street. Nobody else would have even thought of doing that. You got yourself out of situations. Your brain somehow gets yourself out of situations. It knows how to protect you. And that's why you're not needing medication, you're not needing stuff, because somehow you've always had to protect yourself. your whole life, and you still do it in adulthood. You just don't realise that you do it. Yeah. And thinking like, oh, I did this and I did that, and I'm shameful for doing drugs and stuff. I did what I had to do to survive. That's it. I don't have to answer anymore. And if you to you, that's embarrassing, or well, that's on you. But I'm not embarrassed of anything I've done in my life. I'm embarrassed that I let some people hurt me when I shouldn't have done that. But that's a lesson learned. That's why I get it. So till I learn the lesson. And I forgive everybody that's done stuff bad to me, because forgiveness is me. It's saying, you've done what you've done, I can't change it. You go do whatever you've got to do, but I will now go live my best life in spite of what you tried to do to me and how much you tried to broke me. I didn't. You might have thought, at that time, I might have thought you'd broken me, but you haven't.
Do you think you're the exception?
I don't know. I can just always find that light. Sometimes that light is so far away, you can literally probably miss the little dim of it, but I always get there. And what I don't understand is how I'm never homeless after that 17-year-old, because I don't have a house, but for somehow people around me pick me up, my friends that I've got that are my family, someone always puts a roof over my head. If I've been starving, they've always fed me. Somehow I've never been homeless again since I was 17, but now I definitely won't, because I've got a cat.
Because you've got your tent.
I've got my tent on my roof, and I can park up wherever I want. I could even come and park on your driveway. There's enough friends that would let me park on their driveways.
I'm sure there are.
So I'm never going to have to ask somebody to put a roof over my head again. And that's the embarrassment, is I've never had to ask. My friends know, and they've come and saved me and said, like, we know you're going to be homeless. They just know. They know when I'm in, like, there was one time I was living in a shared house, the landlord sold up. My friends knew I was struggling to find somewhere I couldn't find anywhere. And that was only last year, because literally there was about 100 people going to see rooms in a shared house. Never seen it like that before. Normally you can go get another one within a week. 2 months, couldn't get anywhere. And I was like, I literally got to go out in a week. And they were like, you come to live with us. I was like, okay. But I don't get stressed about it. I don't get upset about it. I just think the universe will do whatever. If I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to be homeless. Mm-hmm. That's it. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. If I'm trying everything and that's what happens, and I'm just lucky that somehow in the universe is helping me in some way, or I just managed to get myself out of situations by being selective of who your friends are.
You're a survivor, aren't you? That's what you are. You're a hardcore
and
survivor.
I find the positive in everything. There is a positive. You've just got to stop self-sabotaging yourself or have the pity party and play the victim. You've got to kick yourself up the arse. And sometimes somebody else will do it, and you can't think, oh God, you've really hurt me by saying that. They're saying it because you've got to get yourself out of that situation. You can't stay there, because what's going to happen, you're going to die. And most people, like you say, you've got children, you've got family. I mean, if I die, I ain't got family, but I still don't want to die. I've still got so much living to do. There's so much of this beautiful planet I want to see. I'm not going to let anybody make me feel that bad again, that I'm going to get in that dark place. And I want to show people by going on these trips that there is beautiful places in England. You don't have to have money. You don't even have to have a car. Wherever you live, I'm sure there's a train that will get you to somewhere. Or there's a beach not far away, but you've just never looked into it or gone to see it. There's places on your doorstep that you can go for a walk, a hike, or whatever. You don't have to go to the gym and go run a marathon. Just a walk. When I do a walk, I don't feel like I'm doing exercise, but you are. I put podcasts on. Mel Robbins is my favourite podcaster ever. I tried to listen to yours on Spotify, but there's only one, because I don't listen to them on YouTube, because my phone switches itself off. You need to get it on Spotify so I can listen to your one as I'm hiking. YouTube's not good for when you're hiking, because if your phone...
It's rubbish.
Yeah,
it's rubbish.
It's rubbish. Because the best advice from Melanie Robbins is the let it theory.
The what, sorry?
Let it theory.
Let it theory.
Don't want to be my friend? Let them not be your friend. You want to say horrible things about them? Let them. They want to sit in their own wallow? Let them. Everything is just let them. We try to control everything. Just let it go. Just let them.
Yep.
I love that theory. And she's got ADHD, so I learned a lot of tricks from her. The 5 minutes. Just got 5 minutes to do something, and then you can sit down. But you don't, you carry on doing it.
Yes.
And with mine, it's a reward. Well, if I do that, I can have a coffee. If I do that, you can have this. If you do that, then I give myself the reward afterwards to make me do something.
And that's so true, isn't it? You don't do anything. You don't want to do anything. You're sitting there. But the second you start, I'm just going to wipe this countertop down.
Yeah.
And before you know it,
whole
you've
house is
hoovered
done,
up.
yeah.
Yes. But it's that first step.
So my first step is always
difficult.
is to get myself a reward. You want a coffee? Well, you're not having a coffee till you just do that 5 minute job. But before you know it, you've done it, and then.
And
you
that
have a
works
coffee.
for you, does it?
For me, it works. Yeah. Mine's a coffee and a cigarette. So it's always like, you want a coffee and cigarette? You got to do that first. Yeah. Or it is, if you want to go out camping at the weekend, you got to sort this out, otherwise you can't go. And then I'm like, definitely doing it. Yeah.
Wow. So you're your own boss. You're the boss and the employee all at the same time.
But definitely go out and find camper van people, because they are the most amazing people.
Yeah.
And the universe definitely did not want me. I was determined not to go off grid on my own and not be around people. Just wanted to be by myself. And the universe was like, no, we just need to find your people. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And these and people are living in their cars and vans, and it's heartbreaking, the stories you hear. Like living on a tent on a beach. And then this was summer when I met these people. Goodness knows what they're doing now. It's winter. How have they got heat? I don't know.
So they're not...
And they're not druggies and they're not alcoholics.
There's another level of homeless now, isn't
Yeah.
there?
And you're not seeing them.
No, you're not
because
seeing them.
they're all out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And a lot of people are going out at the weekends, even that have got wives and husbands, to go out and spend time on their own because they don't want to be stuck staring at four walls. Like,
Or death scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah.
Which gets us all, doesn't it?
Oh God, the hours I've done that, and I'm like 5 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck?
I was listening to a podcast the other day, Joe Rogan, and he's got these two guys. I think it's his latest one, and one of the guys on there invented the the unlimited scroll. That was him. He did that.
Because have you seen the one that manually does it, that automatically does it for you? When I'm washing up, I put it on there. And
on
it's
TikTok,
still, and it's doing it while I'm washing up.
Yeah.
Like, this is deadly.
But they were looking at something completely different, and old web pages of old would be you read a web page or the information's there, and you get to the bottom, you have to then click next page or whatever it was, and they were looking at how to keep more retention on a site, and he came up with this whatever it was, and he was like, I am literally responsible for this death scrolling now.
For us with ADHD, it's deadly. It's our
It's
dopamine.
deadly.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to tell you sometimes.
Because when I see people listening to mine, I'm like, how did you get even past the first second? If mine's like 5 seconds, it hasn't got my brain going, I'm scrolled.
Yes. Yes. Do you
But
know
I
what would
do
be really
miss the old
interesting?
TikTok. I started in lockdown, and it was just, I started my own hashtag family. We had all these people. It was just fun. And now it's just people killing themselves because they're giving gifts to people and they ain't got the money. That JoJo, did you hear about her? She got 60 grand in debt from gifting and killed herself just before Christmas. And the gifter's not even giving the money back that they gift. You've got people fighting over each other. You've got this woman called No Contact Coach. She's telling people she's written books about narcissists, and she's the narcissist. And she's like doing stalking people. She got done for having sex with a 15-year-old, went to prison, and she's telling people, you can't talk about the past. It's in the past. 2017. And then she's getting vulnerable people to join her coaching things. And it's like, because I've been to therapists, I can spot a narcissist now, and I'm just like, you are the narcissist.
Yeah.
And then the people that she's hurt are coming against her, and she's like, oh, the flying monkeys, it's bad. It's just horrible things happening on TikTok. It used to be just dances, funny things, miming, and now people are dying, people are getting hurt, people are, fighting with each other. I
think that's probably the case for other platforms as well.
Yeah, it's like,
there's so many people on there.
Selling everything.
Yeah,
it's like, when did you come to QVC? Even though I'm always buying stuff.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, it has definitely changed. Ben and I often laugh. Instagram Reels now seems to be TikTok of old.
I never watch my Instagram's private. I never put anything on there. Yeah.
No, but just go onto the Reels.
When I've gone on it, it's always been something off TikTok. So I'm like,
yeah. It just seems that the TikTok algorithm or the TikTok police, they're very, very hypersensitive with a lot of things now. A comment. I mean, somebody'd commented on. I think there's about 150 more, maybe, fake accounts of mine that use the same logo.
Well, when you followed me, I had about another 5 come straight after me following me, and I was like, no, that's not you.
Yep. So somebody said to me, I think I've been followed by a fake account of yours, and I put back in the comment, yes, there's loads of them, block them and report them. My comment got a violation. Yeah. That comment.
People in live getting done for being naked, they're covered up in clothes. There's no skin at all.
Yeah.
It's
No, it is. It's an evolving platform.
But then things like this podcast, which should have millions of followers, won't get seen. And you're just like...
It will. We've only been posting for 3 weeks. It will. Oh, it definitely will. It definitely will. Because I think what the beauty that we've got at the minute is we're not getting paid by YouTube, and we're not getting paid by these people.
So you can say what you want.
You can say what you want, and you can talk openly about what you want. And we've not had any violations or anything like that yet. I'm sure there will come a time. And this is a question that I do ask people a lot. At what price does your integrity stop? because everybody has a price. One day, that man in the black suit comes over and he says, right then, Nick, here's £100 million.
Oh, yeah. I always say you can't buy me, I'm not for sale. Because people get shocked when I do podcasts or I do it, and I never take money. I work for a charity and I do motivational speaking sometimes, and they'll say, we'll give you X amount. And I say, no. Me giving you my time is my time, and I'm honoured that you want to hear my story. You can't buy me, I'm not for sale.
Yeah, because then they own a piece of you, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not for sale.
But I think...
And that's why my toxic trait is I can do everything myself, and if I have to come for help, it's really I'm really embarrassed to come.
Yeah.
Because my toxic trait is I can do everything myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. That's why I would never marry somebody that's rich or be in a relationship with someone rich. If we became rich once we're together, it's different because you can buy me. You can't buy me a 20 grand bag and tell me that when we go to bed I have to do whatever you say because you own me. You can't. I'm not for sale. I'd rather have a Primark handbag than have a Gucci bag, and now you own me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess if someone's dangling like $1 million, you can have a camper van, brand new. Okay, I might be like, oh, what do I have to do for that?
Or a friend's critically ill and they can somehow pay for it for you. They find a way. There's always a way. There's always a way. And, I think that money and power is the biggest cause for evils.
Yeah, because one of my friends has come into a lot of money, and I've never met anybody that is wanting more and more money. Play the lottery. Why are you playing the lottery? You've got over £1 million. For what? For it to sit in the bank and do nothing? That's what you're doing with it. Won't go and enjoy holidays because he doesn't like his own company. Well, pay for your friends. I'm not paying for my friends. And how I always thought money would make you happy, and I was like, it makes you miserable shit. Absolutely miserable. And you can't make new friends because you don't know who's your friend because you got money and who's your friend because you haven't got money. So you know the friends who were with you when you didn't have money. And he's the most miserable man I've ever met. Unhappy about everything, complains and moans about everything, and he's the richest man I know. And he showed me that actually, do you know what? I'd rather have no money and be happy.
There's a funny joke that I heard someone saying. They said, the best person in the world to be is the drummer in Coldplay. Because who the hell is he?
Yeah.
Nobody knows
him, yeah.
If he walked past
you
here
need to
now,
get a richest man on here, and he'll tell you that, yes, money helps you with stuff. It makes you comfortable, but it doesn't make you happiness. But people do think that's what it is. Yeah. It's like if you win £1 million on the lottery, I always say it's not going to change your life, as in you can't give up your job. By the time you bought a house, bought the car, gone on holiday, you got a little bit saved over for when your pension, for your thing, you still got to carry on working.
You still got to keep on living, yeah.
Yeah.
You have.
So you're going to try and fight to get more and more and more and more and more, yeah.
I think it possibly highlights your real nature. If you're a really good person, I would like to think that I'm fairly generous. I'm very generous, and if I had multi-million pounds, I think I'd just end up giving it all away.
Every time it's over 100 million on the Euros, that's when I play it. And I said, and the last one was 200 million. I said, I would make 100 people a millionaire.
Yes.
I still have 100 million.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, somebody else will have won that and they won't share it with anyone.
Yes.
I said, I'd rather have enough money. I'd want a camper van, enough money for retirement. The rest, help other people. It could just be simple as paying the mortgage off. Now they've got, that's one huge thing gone. They've got a house that they can do.
Going and dropping 100 grand into the homeless man's little pot.
Yeah.
And not filming it on social media so that you get the likes. Yeah. Because that pisses me off as well. You're seeing a lot of that now. But it's, it could be...
But then sometimes when I see that, it makes me go, what's the kindest thing I've done recently? Who have I helped? No, okay, now I need to go out and do something. So sometimes I see that the other way. It sort of makes me go, oh, I need to do something kind to someone. It's been a little while.
I just see it as...
But I do know
they're just gaining... They're doing it to show the world, you don't need to show yourself giving money to a home.
But that's where Melanie Robbins, let them.
Let
that person,
let
them do that to get their views, because at least that person got some food today.
Of course, yes.
Doesn't matter if the
and
guys...
somebody like you might have gone, I've not done my good deed for the day, I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to go and pay that lady a compliment about the colour of her coat or whatever it might be. It's a strange world. And one thing that always comes back to me is none of this is going to matter in 200 years' time.
I did a TikTok when I was camping that said in 100 years' time, nobody will know who I am.
Nope.
But I have left a legacy, because if you Google me, it tells you who I am. Not everybody has the ability to do that, which is, I find really sad. But you do, because you have your legacy for your kids. But in 100 years, nobody's going to really know who I am. They probably won't even know to Google me. So
I like looking at photographs of like the 1800s and things like that, and you see all of these people on there, and they all had their own lives, their problems. Their husband was having an affair. Their
and in them
child
days,
had
if you was
epilepsy.
chubby, it meant you was rich because you had a lot of food.
Yes.
Here now, everyone's like, oh, I don't like my weight and stuff. But in them days, that meant you was really
it was
handsome.
sought after. Yes, yeah, definitely. And there's another one, isn't there? Back in the day, poor people had horses and rich people had cars. Now, poor people have cars and rich people have horses.
Yeah.
And it's mad, isn't it? And you think, we've almost gone full circle. But yeah, all of those problems, all of those lies and missed payment bills, you look at those photographs now and nobody knows who they are. So that what you're going through, if you can frame it that this will pass, if you allow it to, and like you've done, see the good in the things, don't give up on your dreams, do the thing. Most of these podcasts that I've done over the last 2 weeks, whether it's with £1 million of cocaine gone up a guy's nose, or a life coach, or a holistic healer, it all boils down to do the things that make you happy and try and avoid the people and things that make you unhappy, even if, to start with, they're masquerading as something that does make you feel happy, i.e. the drugs, i.e. the alcohol, because it feels great for that 2 hours. But like you've said, is the after effect, is the feeling of dread and illness more heightened than the feeling of greatness that you had from it? And I think that's the same with anything, isn't it?
And get your feet out onto the floor. When I used to hear people, I used to get hippie dippy stuff.
Yes.
And when I started putting my foot onto the ground, it's weird. Put your bare feet in sand, put it on grass and stuff, and just get with nature. It's not all hair. You don't have to believe in all that wishy-washy stuff that people have. You just feel different.
You do.
Going for a walk really does change it, but it has to be a scenery that makes you feel good. So me, if I'm just in countryside, that walk's not going to do anything. If I see water and I'm walking around water, it makes me feel good. You might be the opposite way around.
I love
like castle
mountains
views. Or
in
mountain
the background. Something.
Go find what it is. It's just finding what your thing is.
And it's very rarely going to be something that requires money or something that's material. Very, very rarely. And I would say probably
I started
never.
with just walking around a lake near where I lived before I got the tent box. That's what I started to do. Walk around with the dog around this lake. And then I was like, I want to go see more. But I don't want to come home. I want to stay overnight. Hotels are extortionate. Or I'm in somewhere where there isn't any hotels. So that's when I was like, right, I want to get into camping, but I don't want to spend 10 hours putting a tent up. So how do I get out of that one? And then I found what I was looking for, You've got to research. And if you're struggling, you have to go and YouTube, TikTok, whatever, go find people that inspire you, and you hear things and it just makes you click. Like with me, it was Melanie Robbins. Loads of stuff she said clicked. Some stuff she says doesn't click. But I go and find other people that inspire me and listen to them and go, okay, well, if that person got through that and that's what they did, let me try it. Oh, no, it didn't work for me. Oh, yes, it does work for me. Like meditation does not work for me. My brain does not shut down enough to do meditation. So for me, I tried it. It didn't work. Okay, for you, it works. For somebody else, it might work. For me, that is like the most annoying thing ever, because I'm trying to shut my brain down. It don't want to shut down. And I'm like, this is really doing my head in. And I can't sit still for that long, just with in silence, with just a noise going that's annoying me even more. So go find something that makes you listen to it and go, oh my God, I'm going to try that. And then, wow, that worked. Or no, it didn't. Move on.
And trying new things. You've got to do it, haven't you? You got to do it.
And one thing, the biggest lesson I learned, I don't want to do this on my own. What happens? People stares. People do not give a shit what you're doing.
No.
They do not care.
They're
what
in their
you're
little
doing.
world.
We're all in our own little world, and nobody cares what you're doing.
No.
It's like if you fall over and somebody laughs at you, they don't remember that in a week's time.
No.
It's just that second done. But most people do not care what you're doing. I've never looked in a restaurant and gone, oh my God, look at that sado sat there eating on their own. I was like, oh God, I wish I had the guts to do that when I didn't do it. But now I just do it
on my own.
Yeah, now I just do it. I'm like, our worst things is our own negative stuff in our head, and the stuff that a false narrative that we tell people. Oh God, I must have upset. The amount of times you think, oh God, I think I upset so and so, and then it's like, that didn't upset me. Like, you think worse things in your head than actually is. I don't want to be around people when I'm in a bad, like, I don't want to upset people if I'm upset. Well, not all the time that works. Like, sometimes people want you to go to them. They'll feel upset that you didn't go to them if you're in a bad place. But our thoughts are the worst negative force, and we self-sabotage ourselves all the time. And it's understanding that people don't think what you think. And unless you ask somebody what they're thinking, you don't know. You're just assuming people think that about you, and they probably don't. Like, I always say, I wish I could see myself through other people's eyes. And I wish people could see themselves through my eyes, because you don't know who you are till somebody else says something, tells you who, like, the good things they see in you.
But equally, you are somebody different to everybody. Nobody actually really knows the real
And
Natalia,
the one thing you have to get to know is when you're behind that closed door in front of that mirror, you have to know who that person is there staring at them. And if you don't like that person, you have to go find out why. It's a trauma. Somebody's told you something to make you feel bad about yourself. That's where we learn it. Somebody somewhere has told us we're crap. You're not good at school. You're rubbish. You can't do this. You can't do that. Somebody's implanted that in us. Go to therapy and get it sucked out of you, and get your mind changed. And find people online, like the amount of people that help me. And like, people think I've got all the answers and I haven't, but I find answers from other people and I try it. And if I don't like it, no problem. It's like a hobby with ADHD. How many people start a hobby, they don't like it, they move on or they forget about it. Try it. It's like you don't go to a restaurant and not try something. You try it and then you don't like it, you don't order it again. You like it, you order it again. Yeah. And don't live in a dark place, because I promise you the world has got some beautiful stuff in it, as well as it does have some dark people and dark things, but it has a lot of good in there. There's beauty, especially in England and Ireland and Wales and Scotland. There's some beautiful places that will make you appreciate that stuff. A sunrise on the top of Snowdon is the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, if I could wake up to that every day, I would love it. I don't think my body would like me climbing that.
You've got to get up there. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, there is a train, I suppose. Yeah, you could do that. But there's beauty all around you. You have to just go find that beauty.
The stars.
Yeah.
A lovely clear night.
And be in places where there is no light. The only light is the thing, the northern lights. The one week I stopped camping, all my friends had the northern lights. I was devastated. I was like, I've never seen the northern lights. I really want to see them.
Where were they? Up in Scotland?
In Newcastle. Yeah, they're up there.
Because they did come down quite low.
Yeah. But just find things, and you don't need money. Just look on Google Maps. There's always somewhere you haven't been, even though you've lived there 50 years.
Have you ever seen that thing where people do this thing called geocaching?
Yeah, I've seen.
And there's websites, and people are just, there's little hidden things,
stuff,
and
yeah.
it's free, and
I did try that once, but it was
fascinating.
It's really annoying when you're trying to look for something, you can't find it. I'm like, God damn it, I know it's here somewhere.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'll give up.
Yeah.
But
hidden
that's
in a little screw.
Because you've got reason to go, and if you've got kids, that's a great way to take kids out. Let's go hunting for stuff.
It's a global treasure hunt, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I think we're about there.
I just realised I've been squeaking this chair. Has that been going on?
Do you know? No, it's not been. And do you know what? But you've been amazing today. Most people sit there doing this, twizzling.
Yeah,
You've been really good.
Holding myself. Normally my foot goes. Somebody else I know has got ADHD. Your foot movement, is it annoying you? And I was like, oh, that must be my ADHD. That's another thing I hate, is people using mental health. Oh, I treat you like this because I've got this condition. That's not how it works.
No.
I have traits of ADHD, but it doesn't make me horrible or nasty or...
No.
Or say
And it's
anything,
made you what you are.
To make anything hurt. You can't hurt people because of mental health. That is not an excuse.
No.
And people pretending they've got mental health on TikTok just to get views and stuff absolutely baffles me. Like, I won't want ADHD. I'd love to go in somebody else's head for 24 hours to know what it's like to not have ADHD, yeah. I won't wish it on anyone. It's the most annoying thing in the world, yeah. Especially when you interrupt people when they're talking. That was my biggest bear, and I can't stop it. I've tried, yeah.
You've been good today.
But you just stayed, I couldn't have stayed that silent. You stayed quiet the whole time I was silent. I would have been interrupting.
Because this podcast is not about me.
And, oh, yeah.
None of these podcasts are about me.
But I don't want you to take my story and suck it into you, because there's no sad ending. There's a happy ending.
There absolutely is
don't take
a happy ending. No,
I don't want my story to drain you. There's nothing negative or sad about it. Yeah.
No, it is a...
Because that's what I say to people, don't feel sorry or pity me, because there's nothing to pity. Like, I wouldn't change my life. I wouldn't change it. As much as I miss my mum and I'd do anything to see her one more day, I would never change it. Never change it. I wouldn't even like to think the person I would have been with before that. Yeah, wouldn't change it.
The losing your mother has given you a much more fond memory and relationship with your dad?
Mm-hmm. Would never have had a
You
relationship
would
with
have
my dad.
never have had that. No. Never.
And I would have never heard all the stories I heard about my mum. Some of the stories, I was like, what? My mum must have looked at... I remember the first time I had sex, I was 17, so I was quite late. My mum thought I was having sex at 14 because I went to the... they opened a family planning and they were giving out free condoms and pills, and I just took it with my friends.
Yeah.
And so she found the bag, so I think she thought I was having sex. I wasn't. And I remember going home going, Mum, why has everyone gone on about sex? It's horrible, it hurts. My mum's like, I used to ask my mum, how do you know sex is good with your dad if you've never slept with anyone else? Like, I was that girl with my mum. I would ask him questions all the time, wanting to know questions. And my mum would be like, you just do. And then I found out before she got with my dad, she slept around with loads of people.
So
there was stuff my dad told me, and I thought my mum must have looked at me and thought, oh my God, she's definitely my daughter. But she couldn't tell me, yeah. Like, I never told my mum and dad I was raped. I never told them. I never wanted to. And then I found out from my dad that she'd been raped. I was like, my mum would have got it. She would have understood, but I never thought, because she never told me that. Yeah. She told my elder sister, but not me. And I always thought my mum and my elder sister were really close, because when my sister left home, she didn't leave home until she was married, didn't have sex until she was married. When she used to come, they used to go sit in the front room, because that was the posh room where for visitors, with the door closed. So I thought they were, but they didn't just chit-chatted. While me, I would question mum, like, how do you know sex is good? I would ask her loads of questions. We'd talk about stuff, yeah. And I didn't realise till my book was written and my co-writer spoke to my sister that my mum and sister, they just chit-chatted. They didn't really have a big, in-depth relationship, which broke my heart, yeah.
It was all...
just politely, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Niceties and...
Yeah. And then I remember my first ever boyfriend, when my mum died, I saw him at the funeral, and he said he used to go back to my mum used to make bolognese sauce for him when he was at uni. He used to make him food to take back to uni. And my mum told him this story, and I was like, she knew me. The problem with Natalia is you need to let her put her hand in the fire to know it burns. You can't just tell her it burns.
Yeah.
That's the only way she learns, is she has to put her hand in the fire, she'll burn herself, and then she knows that that's it. That's the only way she will ever learn. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely me. I have to put my hand in the fire, sometimes 2 times, to figure out, you can't do that.
Yeah, I've got a best friend who is exactly the same. I don't know. I don't see him so much now, but exactly the same.
Yeah.
You could tell them that, no, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And then they come back and you were right.
And my mum, they had a bet with my mum and her friend who would have first kids out my brothers and sisters. And apparently they reckoned I would have been the first one to have kids, like really young, on a council estate with about 20 different dads to my kids. And I'm the only one in the family that hadn't had a kid. Me and my sister, my elder brother's got kids. Yeah, he was the first one. And he was the one at the bottom of the list, yeah. But yeah, I was like, how funny is that? My mum thought that was going to be me. And maybe it would have been me if my mum was alive. That's one of the reasons I didn't want kids. Because who's going to help me bring a kid if anything happens to the dad?
Yeah.
I ain't got no mum, dad, brother, sister, anybody helping me. So I'm not going to do... I don't want to have a kid and not have a job. So I'm not going to bring that kid into a world where...
It's another self-defense mechanism, isn't it?
And you choose to have a kid selfishly because you want a child.
Yes.
That kid doesn't have a choice, and I don't want to bring a child in that was like me and was like, I didn't want to be born and you brought me here. I didn't ask for this. So I was like, yeah. And there's enough kids in this world, and if I did decide at any point I regretted it, there's enough to adopt and foster.
Yes, you'd
there's
be
enough
the first
broken
to be.
kids that need help that way. And you don't want another me in this world.
We probably could do with a lot more of you in the world.
I don't think so. No, not when I looked down as a kid, yeah. You told me no, and I was like, yeah, you watch me. I wish I still had that attitude where people say, you can't do this, and I go, yeah, I can, watch me. Yeah, that's what my attitude was when I was a kid.
You do still have that attitude?
I guess so.
In abundance?
When the universe decides, let's give you this, and I'm like, yep, nope, I'm going to get myself out of this situation. Yeah. But yeah, I hope my story inspires people, but to me, it's just boring. It's like weird. Like I favorited your video that said, hey, we're looking for someone. And then when they messaged me, I was like, how funny you just said that. I just haven't had time to go to it because I've been busy working. So I was going to message you. But then I was like, oh, no, he's probably not interested in my story. Because to me, the stories you've had are like, wow, inspiring to me.
But that's what this will be.
Yeah.
To others.
Like that doctor, I'd love to speak to him because I'd love to know about like when you die, or things that happen to you, like like people say, oh, you've only got one kidney, does it change your DNA? And I'm like, I don't think so. What happens if you had a kid? Would it only have one kidney? I was like, I don't think so, because I didn't change my DNA. And talk to him about all medical stuff.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah,
he's
and
a great
autopsies and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And he's not run of the mill. He's not a cookie cutter type doctor. Yeah. You know, he says it how it is, and he has slightly different views than other things. And yeah, he's a good guy.
And then you got the cokehead, that was me. Not that much, millions of pounds, isn't
I
it?
think he's supposed to be coming today as well.
I've got a bit missing in my nose from that.
Have
from
you?
them days, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. Don't know if you can see it. Just a little one, yeah.
Wow.
But I remember taking drugs probably 15 years after the last time I took them. And I was like, what are these? They're not like the way in the... When I took drugs, you'd be dancing all night, loving it. I was like that in a chair going, what is this? This isn't fun. Just literally stuck to a chair. Like the drugs definitely
What, on coke? Pills?
On
or
pills,
coke?
yeah. Like normally the pills give you energy. You're dancing all night long, you go in. I was literally just monged out in a chair, stuck there. I was like, this is not fun. Like, what happened to the drugs in the olden days? Like, obviously, whatever they put in the drugs now is not the same.
Changed, haven't they?
Obviously changed, yeah.
Must have done.
And I'm glad it did that because I was like, yeah, this isn't... I'd never want to get back into this. Because I was like, what is this? I'm just stuck.
Yeah, you see them people, don't you? And you think...
I think it must be
What are you
mixed in with spice or something because you're literally just monged out on a chair. I was like, I want to dance. I was like trying to move my body and it wasn't moving. I was just literally stuck in my chair.
You might have put general anaesthetic in there.
Like the pill, my favourite pill was a Mitsubishi. That was my drug.
Was that your drug of
That
choice?
was my drug. And if you bought them in like...
Not the car of choice.
No, not the guy. If you bought like 100 pills, you got them for like 25p each. So we'd all chip in and buy like... And then we'd sell them in the club for 10, 15 quid. So every weekend, the night was free. I only sold one and that would be my night out. That would be my pill. Well, about 2 or 3 pills and my bottle of water. That's it. I'm good for the night, yeah. And we used to always know people, so we never paid to get into clubs. We got in there for free.
Where did you used to go?
Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham.
It was Cream, wasn't it, in Liverpool? Was that the night they
Yeah,
used to do
Cream
there?
in Liverpool. Then we had Gatecrasher.
Yes.
I did the last Hacienda. Remember going in there just before it shut down.
Where was that?
Manchester. Yeah, I used to be into funky house and trance. So I'd start off in trance, and then when the drugs were wearing down, I'd end up in the funky house bits. Yeah, 'cause I was like, that's just noise, yeah.
Who was your favourite DJ?
Paul Van Dyke. For an Angel was my song, yeah. I used to love that song,
remember that.
yeah. But now I can't hear it, it's just a noise. I'm like, but I don't hear funky. I loved funky house because it was 70s music, really funked up, but I don't hear that anymore. So
No, it's changed now. It's
Yeah.
very dirty kind of, isn't it? And yeah.
And I never got into heavy metal. That was just a noise
Yes,
for me.
same for me.
Yeah,
I'm not
I can't get it.
I can appreciate anything if it sounds good. You know, I used to like Limp Bizkit, and that was kind of rocky, but it wasn't. Yeah, so I can appreciate most things, but yeah, they were the days. I don't even know if the kids do clubbing now. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know. A lot of kids now are even doing drinking, aren't they? I've never been a drinker. I just do not like the taste of alcohol, and it doesn't get me drunk. I drink and then I'm asleep. And the only time I craved alcohol was when I had my kidney out. And I woke up and I was going to my friend, I'm craving alcohol. I really want to drink, but I don't like anything. So we went to a bar. She was passed out on the floor because I kept having a drink. No, I don't like that, don't like that. And then I found out I like soda water, lime with vodka.
Yeah.
But it has to be Grey Goose. It's the only one that doesn't burn the back of my throat. Cocktails, so it just tastes fruity. And just found things like that, which we've gone through the whole bar menu, I think, by that time. And even then, I only have a couple. I have 2, and then I'm like, if I have another one, I'm asleep. So that's why I got into drugs, because I was like drinking something. I was like, by midnight, I'm like, I'm ready for bed. How are you keep going? Like, and so I've never been into alcohol, so I don't understand an alcoholic. And also it makes me cry. Why the hell do I want to cry?
Yes,
I don't
emotional.
Get that. Yeah. Either it makes me sleepy or I start crying. Oh my God, my life's a mess. I don't want this, man. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. Yeah. So I don't understand that feeling. But maybe it's because I ain't got past the bit with someone else. So I've never been. I don't remember the last time I took a drink. The next one will be Christmas Day, but it's been months. I have to fancy a drink, yeah. But I want to do the diet you're on.
Carnivore.
I love meat. But I do love carbs too. I've got bread. Don't think I can give bread up.
You don't crave anything.
Can you still have milk from my coffee? I can't.
You can. I've not. Oh,
I like my latte
literally,
in the
I
morning.
think I've had about 6 eggs.
See, I love eggs. Steak.
Yeah, I do. Steak, chicken,
I can't
eggs.
be a vegetarian. I can do it
bit
for
of
one
fish,
day.
that's it.
One day vegetarianism, vegan, can't do it after that.
But I was vegan for a couple of years, vegetarian up until the last day of November.
Every meal I have meat. Sometimes I don't even have carbs. I just have the meat.
Yeah. But honestly, you don't, I don't even know what time is now. 1 o'clock, and I'm not hungry. Me and my mates did devour 40 chicken wings last night. There was 5.
Do you not have to like spice it up, like minted lamb,
No,
so you don't get bored?
so for this month, I have nothing, no sauces, no sign of a carbohydrate, nothing. we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I might introduce a few bits and a vegetable here and there. But honestly,
So do you have spices on your...
nothing.
Nothing. So it's just plain chicken.
Plain.
Yeah. Chicken would bore me though. Chicken is my least because my dad had allotment, so we had our own chicken. So every Sunday dinner was chicken, so you soon got sick of chicken. It's like now I hardly eat Italian because I was brought up Monday to Friday Italian weekends food, English food.
Yeah.
I'm all passed it out.
Yeah. So you're eating Chinese now, and Indian.
We never had a Chinese when I was a kid. Never. I think my first McDonald's I was like 16 or something before we even had that.
It was a treat, wasn't it? Going out for a takeaway was a treat.
Yeah. We lived in a council house. And then my mum and dad managed to save enough money to buy a house. But we had an allotment, that's where all our fruit and veg was from. And then we had the butchers where we got the thing. And then stuff that my dad couldn't grow we'd get from the market store, yeah. We were, like, I remember going to, there weren't even charity shops, like stores where you 50p get you jumbo sales, that was it. Jumbo sales to get my clothes. I didn't have dolls, didn't have toys, nothing, yeah. I had my push bike, that was it. And I was gone. My mum would make me a packed lunch, massive bottle of squash, gone for the day. I had to be back before street lights got
Yeah,
dark.
so I think a lot of us were like that.
For the whole day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember riding around on bikes with my mates, and we ended up in Nottingham.
I used to say
15
to my
miles
friend,
away.
if I just keep going, I don't have to go home.
Yes, yeah.
And I used to hate winter because it meant I couldn't get out of the house, and I had to put up with my dad all the time. I was like, get me out, I want to be out on my bike. Yeah.
Natalia, I am going to the toilet.
I need a pee. I've been holding it on.
I think it's been an amazing conversation. So thank you so much for...
I just realised I love your shoes.
What are they?
With the white socks.
It's been lovely speaking to you, and you can come any time you want.
Yeah, still got another story if you run out of stories. You're booked out till February. I like this stuff.
No, I've got some time. We've got some more time.
You'll remember it. Do you remember at school, the tables that used to open up?
I do, yeah. The desks with the chewing gum on. Yeah, well, this really was...